おっと、時間か。今のところテストに出るからな。ちゃんとノート書いておけよ。今日はここまで。
It's a mix of anime chaos and Simon and Garfunkel. Good evening, welcome to the stream, all of you. How are you all doing? As you said, what did he just say? I'm about to read it in just a moment, but the chat box is over in that direction. You can follow ChrisJT985, get your comments in, and I'll do what I can. And as I say, it's going to be a bit more atmospheric tonight because I'm fighting the copyright people the old-fashioned way. I've switched off the music. Here we go. I guess we're out of time. What we learned today is going beyond the test. Make sure you take good notes. That's all for today. Stand. Bow. The math teacher. What was their name again? Well, it didn't matter. Left the room and the school day came to an end. In case you're wondering, by the way, when it said stand and then bow, basically Japanese schools, for whatever reason, the end of the day, they have to stand and bow to the teacher when they leave. Could you imagine doing that at work? Right, it's time to clock out. Thank you, boss. No, that's not happening. That's terrible. That's awful. And also, good point there, Chris, yes. Why would a teacher tell you to take notes at the end of class rather than during at the start? Not very clever teaching, that is it? The other students were all talking about where to go after school, or heading off to their clubs or teams. Most of them immediately got ready to go home. That was me. I was the captain of the Go Home Club. Normally, as soon as the last chime rung, I would put my things together, and go home. But today, I stayed in my seat, trying my best not to look at any of the other students. Today, I was meeting Yua. Normally, a date with a girl would be a WKTK situation. Anyone want to guess what this is? WKTK? Anyone want to know? WKTK. Hopeful and excited. I've seen a lot of acronyms in my life. I don't recognise that one. But for me, today was just depressing. I never agreed to go anywhere with a girl, and I didn't know what to do. Would she even come? Maybe the whole thing yesterday was a prank, and she was watching me from the shadows and laughing, I thought. In a way, that might be better than if she actually did come. Wait, did I even need to wait for her at all? Couldn't I just catch her and go home? An American radio station. Ah, see, you ran a search for us online, Chris. Apparently it's Waku Waku Teka Teka. That sounds like something for Crash Bandicoot. Waku Waku Teka Teka. That's what it sounds like, doesn't it? I mean, for heart pounding, normally it's Doki Doki. Hence where Doki Doki Literature Club came from. Or Monokuma used to go, Matsuwa Doki Doki! Otsyoku Taimu! Yes, go and check out the live streams over on youtube.com/@swishbone from 6 years ago, if you want to know what Danganronpa was all about. Or wait till the re-release of the new game next year. Yeah, that was the way. She was in a different grade than me. Anyway, if I ditched her here, we'd never meet again. I made my decision and stood up.
Taku,
what are you up to? Someone slapped me on the back. Hard. I didn't need to turn around to see who it was. The only person in the class weird enough to talk to me was Misumi.
お前帰らないのか？いつもならチャイムが鳴ると同時に消えるのによ。俺密かに匠の音速直帰って名付けてたんだぜ。
You're not going home? You usually disappear the second the bell rings. I've even got a name for it. Takumi's Sonic Boom Dash.
もう帰るよ。
I'm going home.
誰か待ってるとか。
Are you waiting for someone? Huh? How did you know?
なんだよ、図星かよ。
Wait, I was right?
どうして？
How?
なんだかやけにそわそわしてたからな。 教室の入り口をさっきから何度も気にしてるし。
Yeah, it seemed like you were really nervous about something, and you kept looking at the door. He was perceptive, but I needed to be careful with what I said. Don't forget, Takumi, your goal is to stand out of school as little as possible. You have to be like the air itself.
別に誰も待ってないよ。
I'm not waiting for anybody.
そうか？だったら今の間はなんだよ。
Yeah? Then what was that pause?
それは
That was... crap. Mitsumi wasn't the bad guy, but he could really be annoying at times like this. Read the room, jerk. That one I don't need to explain. Or at least I hope I don't.
西条くん
This is Joe. My whole body froze. I turned toward the voice, feeling sheer terror. You were standing timidly at the door. Oh no. Thanks to Mitsumi, I'd lost my chance to run away.
おい、なんだりゃ。どういうことだ？
Hey, what's going on? What's happening here? I don't think anyone needs to worry about the cat burglar in the mouth at the moment more than you, Chris. It might have been the first time I'd seen Misumi freak out like this. He wrapped an arm around my shoulder, pulled me in close, and looked me in the eye.
おい、タク、どういうことか説明しろよ。
Taku, what's going on? Explain this. And good evening, Avian. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. All goes pretty much okay. But the chaos is yet to begin, people. Things may get worse.
お前の彼女か？
Is that your girlfriend?
違うよ。
No. I told him 1,000 times that I didn't have any interest in 3D girls.
だったら何なんだよ。言っとくが、タクの姉ちゃんとかそういうオチは期待してねえからな。
Then what's going on? You better not try and tell me that she's your big sister.
引きこもりのくせに何をどうやったらあんないい女と知り合えるんだ。
You're a Hikokimori. Where'd you meet a girl like that?
昨日急に付きまとわれて。
She started following me yesterday.
それつまりあれか？逆難されたってことか？え？この
What? She asked you out, not the other way around? You lucky dog. He grabbed me by the jaw and shook me for a second, before finally letting me go.
そうか。世の中には物好きってのもいるんだな。けど、タクがまともな性癖を持ってたみたいで、少し安心したぜ。
I guess the world's full of all kinds of girls, huh? Now I'm glad it turns out you have at least one normal sexual fetish, though. Ugh. No. We're not doing kink talk here. That's not happening.
性癖って。
Fetish?
それに彼女とは別に何も。
Anyway, she and I aren't...
そうかそうか。頑張れよ、タク。
Right. Gotcha. Good luck, Taku. Wise, Chris. Very wise. Misumi wasn't listening to me. He was all excited now and slapping me harder on the back than before. Ugh. He was definitely teasing me.
安心しろって。お前の女を寝取ったりしねえから。
Don't worry, I'm not going to steal your woman.
だからそういう関係じゃ。
I told you, it's not like that.
ほら、さっさと行けよ。彼女、お待ちかねみたいだぜ。
Go on, get going. Your girlfriend's waiting. He pushed me in her direction, and I began to slowly walk forward. I guess I didn't get to run away after all.
迎えに来たの迷惑でした？
I don't know what it is about these games, but why do they massively over-exaggerate the eyes? Have you ever noticed? If you know anyone with eyes that big in real life, ask how. I came to get you. Is that rum for you?
いや、
No, it sure as hell was. I looked back at Misumi, and he was grinning and giving me the finger. Well, so it was like this. I couldn't tell if he was cheering me on or trying to start a fight. There was no point trying to deal with him anymore, so I decided to just leave the school. So that's what the doggo's eyes are like when begging and pleading for things, eh? I can see that, actually, yes. I can actually visualise it. And I mean, I know it's chibi style and everything, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, it's just something weird about it. It's like the eyes are bigger than the mouth. You know, again, I'm using logic. You can't use logic in video games.
すいません。昨日会ったばかりなのに、こんなお願いをしてしまって。
Sorry, I know we just met each other yesterday, and I shouldn't be asking for something like this.
いや、
No. Yeah, feel the awkward, people. Feel the awkward. I was really nervous. Me. Leaving school with a girl. Like a Ryuju. Like a popular kid. I thought this was a world I'd never have anything to do with. Go on then, let's look at what Ryuju is. It's apparently otaku slang for someone whose real life, Rya, is fulfilling jujitsu. Jujitsu is a martial art and fun. So Ryuju will have a girlfriend, lots of friends, perhaps beyond the sports scene. So in other words, he thinks he's a jock. Makes sense, I suppose. I never thought it would happen to me. But right now, there seems to be an intense aura radiating from her. We were just walking side by side. Why did I feel so nervous? I still didn't know who she was, or what she wanted. What would she want with a creepy otaku like me?
おとといの
2 days ago.
Huh?
Yes?
あ、いや、
No. She started talking out of nowhere. So I got surprised and said something weird sounding. She seemed to be nervous too. Her expression was tense. She was older than me, but actually quite innocent. It was pretty moe. So it begins, people. So it begins. Not that I could do much more than glance at her every so often. I was too embarrassed to look her in the eye.
おとといのブラチュー、見ましたよね。
You saw the episode of Bloodsoon that aired 2 days ago, right?
うん。
Huh? Yeah.
私、一箇所だけ、いまいちよくわからないところがあったんですけど、
There was one part I didn't really get.
すすむくんがセイラちゃんのピンチに駆けつけてきて、助けてくれますよね。でも、どうしてすすむくんは、セイラちゃんが危ないって分かったのかなって。
Chris, Google at your peril is all I'm going to say if you don't understand that term. It can lead you on a very quickly descending rabbit hole.
Susumu came to save Sarah when she was in trouble, right? But how did Susumu know she was in danger?
あ、あれは、先週の回に伏線があったんだ。セイラの携帯が鳴ってるシーンが一瞬だけ挿入されてて、着信表示で進むの名前が出てる。
I mean, people on the stream have normally done unwise Google searches. Certain types of fan art, for example. I'm not judging anybody. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, there was foreshadowing for that in last week's episode. There's a quick shot of a cell phone ringing and you can see Susumu's name on the caller ID.
ああ、
Oh, right.
そういえば、そんなシーンありましたね。
Yeah, I remember that scene.
山田がそういう細かい伏線をあちこちに貼るのが好きなんだ。キンゴルでも似たようなことをやってた。
Yamataku loves putting in little foreshadowing bits like that. He did the same in Golden Goal.
山田くキンゴ
Yamataku? Golden Goal?
いや、山田くっていうのはブラチューの監督の愛称だよ。で、山田くがブラチューの前に監督やってたアニメがキンゴル。
Yamataku is the nickname for Bloodtune's director. And Golden Goal is the anime directed before Bloodtune. Oh, well, you found it and thought it was quite tame compared to others, Chris. Maybe you've got lucky, trust me. I've seen where that term can go. Like, moe. As they say in certain games.
へえ。じゃあ、山田くさんって有名な監督さんなんですね。
Huh? He must be a famous director then.
まあ、僕は好きな方かな。なんでかっていうと、
Well, I like him. The reason is... I started lecturing her on anime. And the next thing I knew, we were at Anime 8. We got in here much faster than I expected. So we know what this guy's hyperfixation is then, isn't it? And no, I'm definitely not feeling called out here by having a hyperfixation on anime, no. I'm not in the slightest bit feeling spotlighted here. I'd gotten really excited and talked too much again. You was a great listener. Whenever I showed off some random piece of knowledge, she'd act really interested. I knew this whole thing was a trap, but I kept talking anyway. So bad at speaking. This had never happened before. It felt like chatting online. It was kind of weird. Well, yes, having a conversation with a person in public. I can relate completely. It can feel quite weird.
なんだかドキドキしてきました。
I'm starting to feel kind of nervous.
先に帰ったりしないでくださいね。
Don't up and leave on me, okay?
うん。
Sure. She went up to the clerk with an expression of intense nervousness on her face and ordered the Sarah post-awakening version figure. All I did was stand back and watch. I kept looking for a chance to run away, but she kept shooting nervous glances at me, and I couldn't move. Afterward, at her request, I showed her around the store. She's happy to find all kind of things she might want to buy, but I didn't have the energy left to smile back at her. Yua came to school by train, so I was forced to go with her to the Shinsen station. That is actually Maku Donaldo. They've actually put McDonald's hamburgers, that's what that says. They've ultra lamely got around the copyright. Maku Donaldo hamburger. That's right, that's Japanese katakana. She might look like an airhead, but she wasn't. Whenever she wanted something, she knew just how to make me give it to her. I'm not saying that line out loud. That will get clipped massively out of context. I'm leaving that one right where the fuck it is. I am not touching that. Moving on.
西条くんって携帯は持ってないんですか？
Do you have a phone, Nishijo?
Since you've asked politely, Chris, let's see what it says. Basically, someone with a black-hearted personality. Apparently friendly and kind on the surface, but in their heart harbours malice towards others. Certain people, mostly otaku, find this gap between surface personality and inner thoughts to be that. Basically, he thinks she's a yandere, I think. She's either going to love him or kill him, or maybe both. She suddenly asked me that just as we got to the station. A phone, huh? I shook my head, slightly sad.
持ってないんですか？それじゃ連絡が取れないですね。
You don't? Then I guess I'll be able to contact you.
連絡
Contact me? Contact me for what? Are you going to keep bugging me instead of leaving me alone?
でも西条くんパソコン持ってましたよね。
Oh, but you do have a computer, right?
私も持ってるからメールアドレスを交換しませんか？
I've got one too. Can we exchange email addresses?
どうして
Why?
その
Um,
フィギュアの発売日に
the day the figure comes
取
out,
りに行かなくちゃいけませんよね。
I have to go get it.
その時にまた一緒に。
When I do, I'd like you to come with me.
まだ一人でアニメ8に行く勇気はないから。
I don't have enough courage to go to Anime 8 on my own.
And to be fair, certain otaku nerd stores, yeah, they might not be the best place to go alone. Especially if you're a girl. Clever.
それに
And
She was a clever one.
私
I,
西条くんと
I knew it. But I couldn't say no. If I did, I'd be the bad guy
も
here.
っと
I want to.
3D girls were truly terrifying.
仲良くなりたいから。
get to know you better.
I'm getting massive Yuri vibes from Doki Doki Literature Club now. Look at those eyes. All she needs is the knife in her hand, doesn't she? She's literally Yuri. Or maybe Yuri's her. I don't know which came first. Was it just that I wasn't used to talking to people? Or was she just a master persuader? It felt like she wasn't going to go home until I gave her my email address. And yet, she seemed nervous as she looked at me from behind her glasses. Yeah, she's not quite Monica, Chris, that's fair. She's not quite that creepy. Or is she? For some reason, I felt my will to resist draining away. My skin felt clammy, and a cold chill was running down my spine, but I couldn't run away or say no. There was something strange about Yua. Something that wasn't normal. I couldn't explain what, exactly. What wasn't normal about her? But she definitely wasn't normal. The next thing I knew, I'd written my email address on a scrap of notebook paper and handed it to her. And now she looks really, really smug. It's like, I got what I wanted. Thank you. That's one thing, she's a really, really smug face. I think even Jeremy Clarkson would be proud of that one. She looked happy as she took it, then bowed and disappeared into the station. I stood there for a solid 10 minutes with a blank look on my face, like my soul had drained out of my body. What would you think about a girl like that? What would you... I don't know what to do. I mean, it feels like she's up to something. She has to be. Hey, are you listening, Grip? Yeah, what's the name of this H game? That night, I asked Grim about Yua. It felt like I wasn't getting anywhere on my own. I know that for those of you who've seen it, by the way, this chat all of a sudden is giving me massive vibes of the anime Durarara. There's points in the anime where it cuts to a scene and the messages literally come up exactly the same as this. I don't know what chat network it is they're using from around 2010 kind of era, but that's what it reminds me of. But that was the answer I got. To be fair, this was the same reaction I had the first time that I talked to her. I was an idiot to ask you in the first place. Wait, oh, you're serious? Man, you're such a lucky bastard. How did you had it in you? I thought you said you weren't even into 3D girls. It's not like that. Grim was reacting just like Misumi. Maybe the two of them were actually the same person. Well, guys like you, Nightheart, who've never dated a girl in your life, often quit being a talker the moment you get a girlfriend. Your girlfriend's not going to like those 10-minute monologues about school swimsuits. I mean, really. If you'll give it a 10-minute monologue about a school swimsuit, have a seat right there. No, just take a seat right there. I prefer competition swimsuits to school swimsuits. That's not the issue. You've got mail, Dork! Huh? I just heard Sarah Tan's voice. I'd set that voice to play whenever I got an email. I looked over my inbox, and the sender's name was Yuuka Sanoki. Ugh, it's here already. I got an email. Just now. Hooray! An email. From a 3D girl. I'd never gotten one before. I gulped and opened it. You could sense her elegance and femininity coming off the page. But the emojis also made her feel friendly and approachable. Hello, this is Yuuka Sanoki. Sorry for sending you an email out of the blue like this. It would make me very happy if you save my email address in your contacts list. And then you got the nice, like, kitty emoji here. Sorry for bringing you along with me today, but it made me very happy. Maybe because I've never been to a store like that before. Or, I think it was because I was with you, maybe. What time are you coming to school tomorrow? Oh, the reason I'm asking is, I want to say hello in the morning. Kinda. I hope we run into each other tomorrow, even if it's just by chance. Bye. I'll send you another email later. Good night. But it was because I was with you, Nishijo, and I want to say hello in the morning. It felt like she might be plotting something. Well, gee, dude, I wonder what she could be wanting. I've recently been playing Shenmue 2 again, and there's a point where the character in that, Hazuki Ryo, is hit on by at least 4 different girls, and he's completely clueless. He does not realise. I'm getting the same kind of vibe from this guy. It's totally normal. Basically just a hello. Oh. I didn't even skip that. What the? Read amongst yourselves, people. I can't keep up with that. It skipped ahead without my involvement. Sorry, peeps. So I think what he's literally doing is copied the email. So actually, I've technically read it out before it happened. Grim was being obnoxious. So I decided to type in the whole message for him. Of course, I didn't type in our personal information. What is this? Feels like she's head over heels for you. Die in a fire, Nightheart. Help me out here, man. It's some kind of trap. Right. It's all a big conspiracy. You're overthinking things, aren't you? Sure looks like she's into you. You're almost at the good ending. Leave the 4th wall alone. I mean, this is impossible. I'm a creepy otaku. Why would a cute girl from the real world want to date me? Dude, you're just bragging now. Help me out here. Calm down, you're still overthinking things. Sure, you have a lot in common, right? There aren't many nice girls like that left. Ugh. That's giving me major incel vibes. I don't like that. Ugh. I knew that, but she was too nice. It was creepy. I mean, the stalker stuff at the start was a little much, but that just goes to show how much she likes you, right? She's an anime fan, right? She's like the ideal girlfriend for an otaku anyway. Get her to go along with all your weird-ass fantasies. That actually sounded pretty appealing. Yeah, here we go. In the words of Cypher, we got a chicken wuss and a guy who just got puberty on our squad. No. That was just what she wanted me to think. She came on to you. Be grateful. I'm not into 3D girls. Yeah, right. You want to date her really badly, right? This is your chance to stop being an otaku. You'll never get another chance like it. I'm sure of it. Yeah, but... Stop being a wimp and go for it. Be like Nightheart, but in the real world. Go for it. If only I could. Life would be so much easier. Talking to her today and the day before taught me that. It could be fun and make me happy, but it was also exhausting and a pain in the butt. If it was that hard, I'd be better off living a peaceful, relaxing life with 2D girls. So I decided not to answer you his email. We transitioned. Let's see where we are now, people. The fire was burning. Long tongues of flames danced within the incinerator. Ah! Flashbacks to Zero Escape. Leave the incinerator out of this! Ugh. Inside it, a sailor uniform and several textbooks were being burnt to ash. A house in the foothills, overlooking the Sato Inland Sea. In the distance you could hear the whistles of the ships. A salt breeze gently shook the trees around the house. Despite her idyllic surroundings, the small girl in front of the incinerator, Koze Orihara, was in a miserable state. Her eyes reflected the red light of the fire as she watched the sailor uniform and textbooks burn to ash in the incinerator. Until yesterday, that had been her uniform, and those had been her textbooks. She was the one who had put them in the incinerator, but she must have still felt some attachment to them, because she kept staring at them. Suddenly, She winced in pain and put her hands tightly over her ears. She opened her mouth, but that's all she could do. She couldn't moan or cry. All she could do was gasp for breath. She kept shaking her head as if begging for something to stop. Then she collapsed, falling onto the ground. She looked up exhausted at the sky. She stayed there, unmoving for several minutes. And then, suddenly, she turned around. She was staring at the house's veranda. The house was made of wood and over 50 years old. Even though it was still daytime, much of the veranda was shrouded in deep shadow, leaving it in darkness. She slowly staggered up and walked toward it. Just then, her mother appeared, as if she'd been waiting.
あら、梢ちゃん。探してたのよ。もう荷物の整理はできたの？
Oh, Kosei, I've been looking for you. Do you have all your things together?
Kosei nodded and sat on the
あ
veranda.
さってにはもう、この家ともお別れなのね。
In just 2 days. You were saying goodbye to this house, huh?
Her mother stood behind her and looked at the peaceful Sato Sea.
東京なんて行くの、梢ちゃんは初めてよね。
It's your first time going to Tokyo, right?
いいお友達ができるといいわね。
I hope you make some good friends there.
Kosei didn't reply to her mother's kind words. She didn't shake her head or nod. She just stared sadly at the incinerator in the corner of the yard and the flames that still rose from it. Well, at least we know how Kosei came to Tokyo now, I guess. She burned the gear and set off on the road. It was a week after on a school day. As usual, I headed to school in a gloomy mood, staring down at my feet as I went. Fall was clearly at hand. The trees in Shoto Park were changing colours, and I was starting to feel cold in my short-sleeved shirt. Since I spent almost all my life in my room, it always felt strange when the seasons changed like this. It still felt like summer to me. I'd spent the whole weekend playing ESO. Grim kept asking me about Yua, but I just ignored him. Yua hadn't sent me any more messages. Maybe she'd given up when I hadn't replied. I certainly hoped so. Whenever I talked to her, I always felt myself wavering. I started to feel hope. But there was no point in a creepy otaku like me having hope. I'd lived my whole life without ever having hope fulfilled. That's why I'd lost interest in 3D girls. Games, stop calling me out. Please don't make me hope. Please don't have any hopes for me. Suddenly, someone patted me on the shoulder from behind. I turned around, expecting to see Nami or Masumi, but was surprised.
西条くん。
Nishijo.
Her cheeks were a little flushed, and she was smiling at me. For some reason, she was out of breath.
後ろ姿が見えたから、もしかしたら西条くんかなって思って、走って追いかけちゃいました。
I thought I saw you in the distance, so I ran to catch up with you.
Hadn't she given up? Did she still have hopes for me?
おはようございます、西条くん。
Good morning, Nishijo.
うん。
Yeah.
やっと言えました。土日を含めて4日もかかってしまいましたけど。
I finally got to say it. It took 4 days, counting the weekend.
Yep, she sat there like this. And in his head, all you're hearing is...
先週メールを送ったんですけど、読んでもらってます。
Oh, I sent you an email last week. Did you read it?
By the time I realised I'd nodded, it was too late.
よかった。返事がなかったから、てっきり届いていないかと思って何度か送り直そうとしたんですけど、我慢しておいて正解でした。
God, this is so awkward.
Good. You didn't answer, so I thought you hadn't received it. I thought about sending it again a bunch of times, but I'm glad I didn't.
What did she want me to do? Was I supposed to fall in love with her, be her boyfriend, and then we were supposed to be a happy, loving couple? Impossible. That kind of thing was for other people, not me. I wanted to do it, but there was no way I could. I still didn't understand why you would like me anyway. I couldn't trust her. So it was just impossible.
西条くん、どうしたんですか？
Nishijo, what's wrong?
ずっと立ち止まってるので。
You're just standing there.
Well, to be fair, so's this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, these three girls, and these three girls here. Why are you calling me out for just standing around? They're doing the same. I started walking fast to leave her behind, but she jogged to catch up with me.
昨日、西条くんのクラスに行ったんですけど、いませんでしたよね。もしかして風邪でもひいて休んでるんじゃないかと思って心配だったんです。
I went to your class the other day, but you weren't there. I was worried you might have gotten a cold or
で
something.
も、元気そうでよかった。
I'm glad you're okay though.
たまにしか。
I only...
はい？
僕、たまにしか学校来ない。
I only come to school every once in a while.
みんなから引きこもりって思われてる。
Everybody thinks I'm Hikokimori. You're disgusted, aren't you? You learned who I really am and now you don't like me anymore, right? That's fine. I never expected anything in the first place. Go ahead, think I'm creepy, and then just leave me alone.
そうですか。でも、今日は会えてよかったです。
I see. But I'm glad we were able to see each other today.
I didn't know how to react to that. I found myself staring into her smile. Our eyes met and then I quickly lowered my gaze. Why wasn't she treating me like she thought I was creepy?
っていうか、たまにでも学校に来てるなら、西条くんは引きこもりじゃないと思います。
And anyway, if you come into school once in a while, I think you can be a Hikokimori.
すいません。分かったようなこと言っちゃって。
I'm sorry. It's really none of my business.
でも、
But
苦痛だよ。
it's really hard.
だとしたら、偉いです。
If that's true, then I think that's really impressive.
Huh? That wasn't something I ever expected to hear. What was impressive about a loser like me? He was smiled gently at me. It was a smile that could heal a wounded heart. That's how it felt to me. Here come the cliches, people. The smile that would heal a wounded heart. How many more are we going to get in there, people? Answers in the comments.
だって、西条くんは辛いのに頑張って学校に来ていますから。
You come into school even though it's
普
hard.
通なら、普通は来られないですよ。
Most people just wouldn't come if it was that hard.
でも、
But
僕はオタだし、キモいし。
I'm an otaku. And I'm creepy.
私、西条くんの話を聞くの、好きですよ。
I like hearing the things you have to say.
Why was she telling me all this? Why did it feel so good? Yes, Chris, that is always the answer. Yes. It felt like she was holding me in a warm embrace, or like she was telling me that it was okay for me to be here. Maybe with her help, I could go back to being a normal person.
大変、予例ですよ。
Oh no, that's the first bell.
Suddenly, I realized that there were barely any students left around us. They'd all gone inside the school building.
西条くん、それじゃあ私、失礼します。
All right, Nishijo. I'll see you later.
今日の放課後、時間ありますか？
Oh, are you free after school?
I mean, what is normal? That's the question. I never know what normal is.
もし、よかったら、その、一緒に帰りましょう。
If you don't mind, could we go home together?
She spoke softly, her cheeks turning a little red.
放課後、中庭で待ってます。もし気が向いたら、来てください。
I'll be waiting in the courtyard of the school if you decide. You want to come?
無理に来なくても全然平気ですから。
Oh, but don't feel like you have
失
to.
礼します。
Bye.
She bowed politely and headed off to the third year wing. As I watched her go, I pinched my cheek. Just as I thought, this wasn't a dream or a delusion. I spent the whole day's worth of classes in a daze. I don't think I heard a single thing that the teacher said. I just rested on my chin on my hand and stared out at the autumn sky. Interesting. Quote from a film by one of the Star Trek movies, which I know nothing about. Normal is what you are not and everyone else is. And then he died at the end of the film. I mean, I'm not sure how to take that, to be honest. I'm not sure what the message of that one is there, Chris. Neither my classmates nor the teachers paid the slightest bit of attention to me. But you paid attention to me. She wasn't like the rest of those assholes. I sat there the whole day, thinking about her and indulging in delusion after another. And before I knew it, school was over.
Yo, Taku. 今日もデートか?
Hey, Taku. Another date today?
この前のメガネのことはうまくいってるんだろうな.
Things are going well with that girl in the glasses, right? Avian has a theory. Spoiler warning, people. When us lot have theories, that's usually what we should start labelling them. You're saying in one time string that girl is sweet. So you're thinking it could be different time strings. It's possible. It certainly matches the trend there, Avian. I've definitely seen that before. And, that makes more sense now, Chris. It was designed to freak him out. Got it. Makes sense.
おいおい。ニートだからって躊躇してんなよ。向こうがお前のこと気に入ってくれてんなら。
Hey, don't tell me you're holding back because you're
や
neat.
っちまうのが礼儀。
If she likes you, whether you said it did or not, it's just polite to have... Now, NEAT is an English acronym for Not in Education or Training. So, not educated, employed or training. So, I get the feeling that's a different meaning here, to be honest.
そんなことしないよ。
I'm not doing that.
おい。なんだよいきなり大声出して。
Hey, why are you so
ヤ
loud?
とはそんなことしない。
I'm not doing things like that with you.
あ？お前まだ言ってんの？なんで最初から諦めるんだよ。そろそろ引きこもりから卒業しようぜ。
Huh? Are you still talking that way? Why are you giving up before you've even started? Isn't it about time you graduated from being a Hikokimori?
僕は引きこもりじゃない。
I'm not a Hikokimori. That's not what I meant anyway. Misumi only cared about sleeping with girls. He wouldn't understand. I ran past a confused-looking Misumi and quickly left the classroom. The fastest way to get to the courtyard from the second-year classrooms was to go across the connecting corridor to the third-year students' building and then head down the stairs. At least, as far as I knew. I didn't come to school that often, so I didn't know what led where. I didn't even know where some places, like most of the special classrooms, were. So I was a little nervous when I went down the connecting corridor. There was a girl standing in the middle of the corridor, staring up at the sky. She had a very stern expression on her face. She didn't seem lost in thought or anything like that. Again, have we got a new girl entering the harem here, people? Is that what's happening? She was clearly in a place that would block traffic, but she wasn't moving at all. Come on. I know you hear my footsteps getting closer. Get out of the way. I'm in a hurry. Game, stop spotlighting how I'm driving in my driving lessons. That's not cricket. For some reason, she felt like a DQN. Have we already got that as a tip? DQN. Is that for, yeah, there we go. Docune. Thug or bully. Right, that makes more sense. So now I bet NEAT is in here and not checked out. No, it's not. So NEAT's not there, strangely enough. Meanwhile, because we've got we've been on for a bit of time, we'll do a quick save. There we go. Perfect. For some reason, she felt like a DQN. I needed to make sure not to get closer or let her notice me. Just as I tried to walk past this girl, who I decided to call Girl B. Oh, we're now playing Twilight Murder Syndrome from Danganronpa 2. Girl B. You're the kind that'd be like, what's a break? Whereas I'd just be, power!
Oi.
Hey. Crap. She talked to me. Was she going to mug me? Or was she going to say she didn't like my face and then take me to a group of DQN friends so they could beat me up? Please, no. What did I ever do to you? I glanced over at her to find she was glaring at me. And that's a proper jump scare glare, isn't it? It's the kind where it just pops on screen. Surprise.
お前、誰だ?
Who are you? Huh? I wasn't sure how to answer that. I was Takumi Nishijo, obviously. But I'd never met this girl, so there was no way she would know that. She must be planning to do something really terrible to me.
すいません。
Sorry. I bowed quickly, being careful not to look at her. Then ran away at top speed. Yes, run away! Always run away! I ran down the staircase in the third year wing and out the doors, then glanced behind me. The scary girl didn't seem to have followed me. Whew. The 3D world was an awful place. There were traps everywhere. I took a few deep breaths and I looked around the courtyard. The courtyard was between the pool and the school building, and was really more of a corridor than the yard. There were flower beds placed at regular intervals where purple flowers bloomed. What were those flowers called? I didn't know. I saw you were standing in front of one of the flower beds, staring down at her while she waited. She was really here. She was really waiting for me. Not for anybody else. Just for me. You wasn't going to betray me. Maybe I could believe in her after all. Maybe she could save me.
Oh.
Yua looked up and noticed me, and then her eyes went wide in surprise. I stood there looking away in embarrassment. I didn't know if it was okay to walk up to her or not. Why was she surprised? Did I mess up by coming? As I tried to figure out what to do, she ran up to me.
びっくりしました。
You surprised me.
Huh?
西条くんが本当に来てくれるなんて。
You really came.
どうせ来てもらえないって諦めかけてたんです。
I'd almost given up, because I thought you weren't coming.
でも待っててよかった。
So glad I waited.
I was surprised. She might have the same kind of mentality I did, the kind that was pessimistic about everything. But there was one big difference between Yua and me. I was pessimistic and didn't do anything. You was pessimistic, but took action. That was something I really respected about her. I wanted to be that way too, I thought.
一緒に帰ってくれますか?
Will you walk home with me?
I mean, with that stare, I feel like she's more like saying, will you die for me? You know, it's that kind of stare. If you know, you know. I nodded in response to her question. She and I headed for the school gate together. I felt kind of embarrassed. As we walked home, it felt like the other students were shooting me jealous glares. The more I started not to notice people staring, the more I started to freeze up. I should have known there was no way I could walk home with a girl. Huh? I passed by a teacher I didn't recognize. Actually, the only reason I thought they were a teacher was they were wearing a suit. But did we have any teachers that young? I rarely came to school, so of course, I didn't know who our teachers were or what they looked like. Sometimes I even forgot my homeroom teacher's face. The teacher in the suit looked around, seemingly lost, before heading toward the school building.
どうしました?
Is something wrong?
Oh. I quickly shook my head and started walking alongside her again. The base was 10 minutes away from school, which is a bit farther than the train station at Shinsen-Yua used to go home. So I guess I was walking her home, instead of the other way around. Out of sheer habit, I walked us through Shoto Park, Cutting through it diagonally shaved a minute or so off the commute.
西条くんって朝よくこの公園でパンを食べてませんか？
You sometimes eat breakfast here in the morning, don't you?
うん。
Oh, yeah. How did she know?
やっぱりよく見かけたんです。でもいる時といない時があって。
I thought so. I saw you here a lot, but some days you were here, and some days you weren't.
Yeah, she was following us, Chris. Don't you remember from last stream where he kept seeing her? She's been tailing him for a while.
今日ようやくその謎が解けました。学校にたまにしか来ないからだったんですね。
And today, I finally figured out the reason. It's because you only come to school a few days a week, right?
You think he's raised a death flag, eh, Chris?
別にそれがダメって言ってるわけじゃなくてですね。素朴な疑問だったので。
Oh, I'm not saying that's bad or anything. I'm just saying I was curious.
うん。
Yeah. You were suddenly stopped and looked over at the bench where I always ate breakfast. Right now it was empty.
なんだかここに座っているあなたの背中はすごく辛そうに見えて。
Oh, don't you be hurting the kitty, Chris. Yeah, you hope you've foiled his plans. No one else in the world will get that one.
For some reason, whenever I saw you sitting there, you looked so sad.
She suddenly leaned forward, just a little, and ran her fingers across the back of the bench.
何度も見かけるうちにだんだん気になってきて。
The more I saw you, the more I began to wonder about you.
I wonder if we're going to get a choice between potential delusions here. The bench was right in front of the fence surrounding the lake. Since I always sat facing the lake, I didn't need to worry about anyone gazing at me. There was also a small watermill right next to it, which was another reason I liked it. It served to partially hide me.
ここ最近は姿を見かけなかった日は心配でご飯も喉を通らなかったりしてたんです。
Lately, on the days I didn't see you, I was so worried I couldn't eat.
Chris, you might want to start reaching for the phone. Really? I hadn't noticed her watching me at all.
バカみたいですよね。一度も話したこともない人の心配してるなんて。
It's silly, isn't it? Worrying so much about a person I never even talked to.
でも話しかける勇気もなかったので。
But I didn't have the courage to talk to you.
So that was why she was acting like a stalker at first. She wasn't a stalker. She was just really worried about me. Maybe.
ちょっと座ってみてもいいですか？
Can I sit down?
西条くんがどんな景色を見ていたのか、私も知りたいから。
I want to know what it is you were always looking at.
I didn't really have a reason to say no. I nodded, still looking out at the lake. She put her bag on the bench and then quietly sat down. Then she sat upright, with good posture, looking at the lake. It was so quiet, so peaceful. And she was right there with me. The soft wind made ripples on the water and gently rustled through her hair. Was this what it was like to have a normal life? It was just a normal day, a normal situation. So why did it feel like I was about to cry?
ここで朝食をとるのって気持ちよさそうですよね。
This feels like a nice place to have breakfast.
I watched her from the side as she quietly spoke. If we were in an H game, this would totally be when I asked her to be my girlfriend. She'd say yes, we'd kiss, and that would be the good ending. Depending on the route, maybe we'd even end up engaging in some naughty outdoor fun. Ugh. I don't know. All the dating games Sims got the credits at this point.
私も今度やってみようかな。
Maybe I'll try it too sometime.
Super nice try. Moderator, go. Thank you, Chris. She tilted her head to look up at me. Unable to speak, I turned my gaze toward her bag. As I stared at the three Gero Froggy straps on it, I cursed myself for being too lame to talk to a girl. Oh, here we go. We got a delusion. Wait. Okay. We're gonna go with the green one. Wait a second. Did I just see something? What was I looking at? Gero Froggy. A character popular with high school girls. I'd seen it somewhere before. Where? Oh, right. Nanami had the same strap on her phone. That was all. That's right. What was I thinking? Why did I feel so scared all of a sudden? I was just being a dog. Nanami said that Gero Froggy was really popular with teenage girls. It wouldn't be unusual at all for you to have some of that stuff. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Really, having a vivid imagination could be a handicap sometimes. It got exhausting, being afraid of your own delusions.
Nishijo-kun?
Nichijo?
She looked up at me, tilting her head. I quickly forced myself to smile back. Oh, yeah, the result we wanted, Chris. Thank you very much.
それ、本当に流行ってるんだなって。
That thing's really popular, right?
ゲロカエルン。
Gero Froggy? Huh? What kind of reaction is that? Why? Why do you look so tense? Did I say something wrong? All I did was talk about Gero Froggy, so why? The smile disappeared from her face, and she turned her head down so I couldn't see what her expression was like anymore. The bad feeling hadn't gone away. The deja vu I'd felt since I'd seen the three Gero Froggies on her bag. Had I really seen them before? I'd seen three Gero Froggies somewhere before and you was afraid that I'd remember where. A sense of distrust welled up within me and began to take control of my heart. Should I trust her or not?
ゲロカエルン、西条くんも、知ってるんですね。
You know about Gero Froggy, huh?
Her voice was
本当
trembling.
に大人気ですよね。私も、あんまり、可愛いとは思わなかったり、するんですけど。
It's really popular. I don't really think it's that cute.
何人かの友達からもらっちゃって、気がついたら、3つになってまして。
But a few of my friends gave me these. The next thing I knew, I had 3 of them.
Her words were sounding more and more unnatural as she talked. She wasn't looking at me. She wasn't looking at me smiling. A moment ago, she'd been so peaceful, so kind. I felt so hollow and empty. Please don't say another word. I whispered in my heart.
見せてあげましょうか。
Wanna see them?
She reached towards her bag and tried to take the straps off.
ちょっと待ってくださいね。
Just hang on.
Her hand was shaking a little. Maybe she was nervous because she couldn't get them off.
変だな。どうして外れないんでしょう。絡まっちゃってるのかな。
That's strange. Why won't they come off? Are they all tangled up? Oh!
She finally yanked one off by force, knocking the bag off the bench. It hadn't been zipped up, so her notebooks and textbooks went spilling everywhere.
私ったら何をやってるんでしょう。
Dear, what am I doing?
Just a few minutes ago, I would have thought the whole scene was that. But now all I could do was stare in shock because, by chance, one of her notebooks had fell to the ground and had fallen open, and the small memos and newspaper clippings had scattered everywhere. It must have been some kind of scrapbook. because all the clippings and memos had to do with one subject. I could see it clearly. Nugent.
なんて。
Why? My voice was hoarse. She was hurriedly trying to pick up the clippings and notes and stuff them back into a bag. She stood up, holding it tightly to her chest. Her smile was gone, replaced with an awkward expression.
それは。
What is that? She didn't answer me. Why won't you answer me? Come on. Say something. If you don't answer, I'll think you're hiding something. And just when I'm about to believe you, just when I thought you were going to be on my side, just when I was starting to believe that.
誰も信じちゃダメ。誰の言葉にも耳を傾けちゃダメ。
Don't believe anybody. Don't listen to anything anyone says. Yep. She's Monica. I'm calling that now. She's the one he deludes about and causes him to disconnect with reality. I'm calling it now, Sarah. Sarah was right all along. All 3D girls were garbage. Even Ewa didn't like me. She was just trying to get close to me for some reason of her own. Maybe she was going to turn me over to the police. Maybe she was going to threaten me. This was awful. Just awful. Just when I was so close to forgetting all about that murder. The cops had never come to say anything. I'd convinced myself that I'd never have to deal with it again. I didn't want to get involved. What was Ewa after? I turned around so I could run. But Ewa grabbed my wrist from
逃げ
behind.
るの？
You running? Her voice made me shudder. It was so cold I thought I might freeze. She didn't seem anything like the girl I'd been talking to a moment ago. And she was gripping my wrist with incredible strength. She was holding it so tightly that it was physically painful. I thought for a moment she might crush my bones, it hurt so bad. I tried to shake her off, but she wouldn't let go. Instead, she pulled me closer, and I almost fell backwards.
逃げるの？
You're running? She whispered in an emotionless voice, right behind me and right into my ear. I shivered and slowly turned around. Yep, there's the Death Star, people. The colour in her eyes was
逃が
insane.
さないよ。
I won't let you get away, you know.
騙してたことは謝るけど、お互い様だし。
I apologize for tricking you, but you weren't honest with me either.
あなただって隠してたことあるよね。
You were hiding something too, weren't you? Now might be a good time to save our game. The horse may have bolted, but I'm going to do it anyway. Hiding something? There was only one thing I could think of. Somehow, for some reason, she knew that I'd witnessed the crucified corpse and the killer. That's why she'd approached me. She really was a clever one. Everything she'd ever said to me was a lie. That she'd gotten curious about me when she saw me for the first time, that she liked Bloodtune, that she wanted to go buy the Sarah post-awakening version figure on the day it came out with me. When she smiled at something I'd said. When she'd said she wanted to get to know me better. When she said she was worried I didn't come to school. Even when she said I'd impressed her by coming to school. It was all lies. I clenched my fists in rage and anger. Damn it, damn it, damn it! Why was I ever willing to believe her?
本当はもっと時間をかけて調べたかったんだけど、バレちゃったからしょうがないよね。
I wanted to spend more time learning about you. But now that you've found me out, there's no sense in keeping up the facade.
あなたに聞いてもらいたい話があるの。
There's a story I want you to hear.
聞いてくれるよね。
You'll listen, right? Maybe it is, Chris, but I can't reach it. You're nearer, you grab it.
聞かないなんて言わないよね。
You won't tell me you're not going to listen, right?
あなたは聞くべきよ。
You should listen.
聞いて。
I want you to listen.
聞くでしょ。
You'll listen, won't you?
聞かないなら。
If you won't listen... If I won't listen, then what? She was like a totally different person now. That peaceful, easygoing manner she'd had was completely gone. Now she looked cold and unapproachable, with a terrible intensity about her. Her words were cold as ice, as cold as death itself. The signs of weakness and helplessness she normally showed were nowhere to be found. I didn't want to hear those words. I tried to close my ears, but I couldn't. She still had my wrist in her grasp. She wasn't gripping it as tightly as before, but she still wouldn't let go. I couldn't move my hand. With her free hand, she reached into her bag and took out something metallic and showed it to me. I gasped in shock. My heart felt like it was about to leap out of my chest. My mind began to race. I had my free hand over my ear, but I didn't let it. I let it drop, and I heard her voice, sounding slightly disappointed.
この十字架に見覚えあるよね。
You recognize this cross, right? Of course I did. I knew exactly what it was. It looked like a cross, but it was actually a stake. Not many stakes had such an elaborate design. At least, I'd only seen some once before. That night, scattered on the road. That night, pounded by the demon woman into the wall. That night, pinning the corpse to the wall.
やっぱり知ってるのね。
So, you do recognize it.
知ってるんでしょ？
You recognize it, don't you?
知ってるに決まってる。
Of course you recognize it.
知らないなんて言わせない。
I won't let you say you don't recognize it.
知ってなくちゃおかしい。
You have to recognize it.
知ってるよね。
You recognize it, right?
知ってるよね。
You recognize it, right? Why do I feel like one of those criminals is in an American drama where they constantly got two detectives leaning on either side of the rear? That's the intensity she's going for. Not even Sainijima was this intense. I shook my head desperately. An awful sweat was forming on my brow. All I could do was try to wipe it off as I shook my head. No.
あなたの部屋にあったのよ。
This was in your room.
あなたの部屋、
In your
ベ
room.
ッドの下、
Under the bed.
床に落ちてた。
On the floor.
落ちてたの。
Lying there.
落としたよね。
You dropped it there, didn't you?
それとも捨てた？
Or did you throw it away?
とにかく落ちてた。
Either way, it was there.
落ちてたの。
Lying there. When did she search my room? The day we first met? When I hurt my leg and she walked me home? When she was staring with shining eyes and a cute face at the Sarah figure?
この杭、外国製のすごく珍しい杭なのよ。
This steak isn't made in Japan. It's extremely rare.
それと、ニュージェネ第3の事件で使われた杭と同じ。
And it's just like the steaks used in the third New Gen killing.
同じなの。
It's the same.
同じよね。
It's the same, right? Yes, indeed, Chris, your joke did actually come true. I actually missed that in the chat. It is indeed a rare steak. Again, answer the fucking phone.
同じなのは間違いない。
I'm sure it's the same.
同じよ。
It's the exact
遺
same.
体を壁に貼り付けにした杭と
The same as the stakes that nailed the body to the wall.
同じ。
The same. I was sure of it. This girl thought I was behind the Nugent killings. She thought I was the murderer. Was she trying to be some kind of detective? Kusunoki Yua, teen detective. You know what I thought? Die, bitch. And I meant it too. They weren't just empty words. I mean, this stuff might have worked in an anime or a video game. Fuck off, leave the fourth wall alone. But I knew that her theory had a fatal flaw. I'd seen the killer. I'd seen her with my own eyes. That demon. The girl whose name I didn't know. She wore a Sume uniform. She was close.
だから、
So what? She looked down and sighed softly. Her grip relaxed, and at last I was freed.
それ以上でもそれ以下でもないです。ただ、あなたが知ってるかどうかを確かめたかっただけ。本当
Nothing
は
more and nothing
まだ
less.
言うつもりじゃなかったですし。
I just wanted to see if you knew or not. I wasn't actually planning to ask you yet anyway.
What did she mean by yet?
それじゃあ、もう一つ確認させてください。
Let me ask you one more thing.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
Can you see the future?
Well, I think our character's supporting your theory here, Avian. Let's see exactly what it says for the guide out of curiosity. Where are you see the future? You can't hide forever. Where did you go? Where are you? Yeah. So basically, apparently the ability to see the future where it happens, and distinctively the ability to predict the future where one lays out what they think will happen. There's no scientific proof it's possible to see the future. Different people manifest the ability in different ways. Some see the future in the form of flashbacks, others see it in prophetic dreams. Psychics, fortune tellers, and ancient prophets are all said to possess this ability. Many con artists, however, claim to have it for the purposes of fraud. Indeed. It might have been at the top. I found it anyway. No one tells me where to go.
は？
What? My jaw dropped. See the future? What the hell was she talking about? What did that have to do with the murder? I stood there confused as Yua reached into her bag and pulled out several full-color
予知能
printouts.
力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
If you can't see the future, then I don't know how to explain you having these images.
The Guro photos that Shogun sent me. Why did Yua have them? I mean, technically they don't tell me. They ask me to go and I say, yes, okay, fine, let's go. If only Queen was here. Well, I'm sure she'll be about at some point. If not, on the archive. Yeah, be sure to check out youtube.com/queen3210 at some point. There's fantastic playthroughs, including Final Fantasy IV featuring me. And while I'm at it, don't forget on Saturday evening, you'll be here, twitch.tv/ChrisJT1995 to watch him carry on in uncharted space with Star Wars Outlaws. Very fun stream. Go check both of those out. I'm about as smooth as those sharp stakes in someone's eye with that one there, people.
これ、
These are...
あなたはどうしてニュージェネ第3の事件の再現画像を持っているんですか？
Why did you have a recreation of the third New Gen killing?
しかもこの画像が流出したのは事件の前日です。
And these were from the day before the murder too.
あなたの使った PC にキャッシュが残ってました。
They were in your computer's cache.
違う。
No. I got those photos from some guy named Shogun that I never even met. They should still be in my download history. I know. I could show that to you. Wait. Why did she get these? How did she know they were still in my computer's cache? When she came to my room, she wasn't there long enough to search my computer. No, she wasn't. But she was in the net cafe when you were using your alt, and what did I say on the last stream? We may have found the identity of his confidant.
まさか、君が将軍か。
Wait, are you Shogun? Was she trying to set me up? Was you behind this whole thing? Was she one of the new gen killers, trying to use me as a scapegoat to distract the police from the truth?
助けて。
Please don't hurt me. This wasn't fair. Why me? Because I'm a creepy loser? Because I don't have any friends? You had just shook her head silently.
その画像はアットカフェルーム37の PC から拾ったんです。
Okay, I was kind of close. I did call the cafe. I think I was close. I was pretty close.
I found these pictures on the PC in room 37 at Cafe.
あなたの PC もできれば調べたかったんですけど、
I
その
wanted to
機会
search
は
your
さすがにあ
computer
りません
too,
でした。
but I didn't have time.
The room next to room 37. The one I always used at our cafe. She really did think she was some kind of detective. She looked just like the slightest bit sorry as she stared at me. For just a single second, she looked like the old Yua. She kept that expression on her face as she rustled through her bag again. This time she took out a sheet with printed text on it and offered it to me. I had an awful premonition. The logical part of me told me I shouldn't look, but I had to. If I didn't find some way to resist, they'd pin it on me.
それが
That
あなたのすべてです。
It's everything you are. Everything I was? Did she steal all my private information? Was she a hacker? Well, Chris, our guy thinks like you. My heart pounded as I looked at the printout. But instead of my private information, it was just a chat log.
Huh?
Huh? It was a log of Nightheart and Shogun.
そのログ、変ですよね。
there's something strange about that log, right?
Nah, Chris, the whole point of the stream is to talk along, and besides, how many times have I talked along on your streams? I regret nothing. Go and check out the archive of Ni no Kuni to see exactly what I'm talking about. Sorry, not sorry.
Eh?
Huh? What's strange? It was just a normal chat log. I remember the conversation I had with Shogun.
ナイトハルトと将軍の
Look at how Nightheart and Shogun talk.
発言時間が全然噛み合ってないんです。
The timestamps don't match at all.
Well, the problem is I'm not seeing Shogun's messages that Nightheart's responded to.
Ah,
Huh? What was this? What was going on?
そこにあるナイトハルトは西条くん。発言時間は9月28日の午前3時台。
The one labeled Nightheart there is you. You're talking on September 20th, around 3 a.m.
そして翌日、あなたはアットカフェに行ってます。
And the next day, you went to At Cafe.
西条くんがアットカフェに行くのは学校帰りと決まってる。
Oh, Chris, trust me, we've both been there. The 2020 streams that I had for Persona 5 and Danganronpa using my laptop's mic were worse than yours by a long, long way. We've both come on with our setups a long time in that respect. We've both made a lot of changes. And we've both done things better than the other as well. Obviously, check out the transitions you do on your stream. So again, people, twitch.tv/ChrisJT1985, 8 p.m. BST on Saturday. Do check that out.
You always go to At Cafe after you leave school.
そして学校に行くのは週に 2.5 回。あなたのクラスメイトから聞いたんですけど、先週あなたが学校に来た日は、
And you go to school roughly 2.5 times per week. I asked one of your classmates, and they said the days you went to school last week were
月曜日、水曜日、木曜
Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
日。先週の月曜日は9月29日。
The
将軍
Monday
の
of
発
last
言時
week
間と同じ日です。
was September 29th. The same day Shogun was in the chat.
I mean, Chris, I've still got a lot of things I want to shift on my thing. The only way is up, my friend. No singing in the chat. We're keeping the copyright police away this week.
No.
What? What was she talking about?
ルーム37の PC のチャットログを調べさせてもらいました。
I looked at the chat log for the PC in room 37 too.
そこから分かったことは、
And what I learned was
She paused for just a moment before looking right at me and delivering a cruel truth.
あなた一人の自作自演。
this whole thing was an act you put on.
将軍は
Shogun is.
Don't look at me.
あなた自身。
You.
何も見たくない。
Don't want to see anything.
何も聞きたくない。
Don't want to hear anything.
時間は一定じゃない。
Time isn't
記
constant.
憶には矛盾がある。
Memories can contradict each other.
視界にはエラーがある。
There are errors in your vision.
地球は回ってない。
The earth doesn't spin.
これはきっとゲームなんだ。
This is all just a game. Fuck off with the fourth wall abuse. I turned on my computer and took a bite out of a fish sausage. As a food item, I don't believe that's a thing. And without being crude, that could also be an allegory to something else, which I don't want to say. If your mind is in the gutter as mine, you'll know what I'm talking about. Moving on.
僕は僕じゃない。
I'm not me. The Saratan wallpaper came up on the monitor.
僕がいるべき世界は
The world where I belong. I booted up ESO without the slightest hesitation.
ここじゃないんだ。
Isn't this one? And that's the end of the first chapter, people. Beep beep. Anyone getting on the field trip? Get on. Nishijo Takumi lay on the tatami mat, a coloured pencil in his hand. This time it was yellow. Just a few minutes ago it had been red. He was happily scribbling with his pencil across the whole of his open sketchbook. Apparently it's a thing called surumi. I've never seen that in all the times I've been to Japan, but then again, I like to try and stay away from the fish anyway. Takumi liked to draw, even during class. He was always scribbling something in the corner of his notebook. The TV was turned on, showing the morning news. For a fourth grader like him, though, the news was boring. He didn't like to look at it at all. Beep beep. You can't bid more than 300 yen for snacks. He was drawing a yellow bus and pretending he was the bus driver. The bus is full, so off we go. Whoosh! He envisaged the scene in his head as he put it onto the page. It wasn't uncommon for him to get too excited and let his pencil go off the sketchbook and onto the tatami mat. Whenever that happened, his little sister Nanami would yell, "Hey, don't mess up the mat!" She was a little brat, and he didn't care. He kept drawing anyway. When it came time to draw the passengers on the bus, he suddenly stopped. And then he ripped the sketchbook up. Yesterday, the day before he was supposed to go on the class's fall field trip, he'd suddenly been told by his parents that he couldn't go. He'd been looking forward to it for a long time. He'd been excited the whole day. So when his parents told him, he refused to accept it. He cried and said he was going to go no matter what. But it didn't matter. No matter what he said, his parents wouldn't listen. "We're saying this for your sake. It's impossible for you." That's all they would say. So he hid under his covers and got mad. So mad he thought he might tear his blanket apart. He hated his parents from the bottom of his heart. That's how important, how critical this field trip was to little fourth grade Takumi. Everyone else got to go, and he didn't. From his perspective, it was totally unfair. In his mind, there were two worlds. A lonely world where he was the only resident, and a fun world where everyone else got to be. He hated his teacher and his classmates for going without him, and he hated his parents for telling him he couldn't go. It wasn't long before that hatred boiled over. He bit his lip so hard it drew blood, and began to mutter a curse over and over. I wish nobody got to go. The next morning, the phone started ringing really early. His mom would pick it up and answer, seemingly shaken by something. She'd set it down and a little later it would ring again. Takumi couldn't sleep at all. It was past 9 a.m. Nanami was sitting on a cushion reading manga. She'd said, "I'll stay home for school with you," the day before, and so there she was. His dad had gone into work and was nowhere to be seen. His mom was so busy answering the phone that she hadn't made breakfast. I wonder if there's anything in the configuration that I can do with that. No, unfortunately not. I was wondering if there might be some way to turn off flicker. Apologies, Chris, there's nothing I can do about it. I just gotta try and get through the scene. Today he didn't need to go to school. Glumly he began to draw in his sketchbook. But it did nothing to help assuage his anger, and just when he'd ripped it up in frustration...
Huh? That bus?
There was a note of worry in Nanami's voice. He thought she was talking about his picture, but her eyes were glued to the TV set.
Mom!
Suddenly she called out for their mom, who was still talking on the phone. Takumi looked disinterestedly over at the TV. It was showing a collapsed bridge on the highway. Only a small 50-metre section of the bridge had collapsed. A bus had been travelling right over it at the time and had fallen through the hole. It was the bus Takumi was supposed to have been on. It was the one his classmates were all on. In a single instant, Takumi was able to envision almost everything that had happened. His classmates were all there. Some were crying, some had faces covered in blood, one was being carried off in a stretcher. A reporter was explaining the accident with a stern expression on his face, but Takumi couldn't understand what he was talking about.
Taku, listen to me.
His mom was standing in the room's doorway, holding the phone in her hand and looking deathly pale.
The field trip bus got into an accident on the highway. It's on the TV too. And Mr. Saito is dead.
For some reason, Takumi was sure of it. Yeah, it seems like we've gone from time travel into Final Destination here kind of thing, with a hint of Carrie. Creative, I'll give it that much. Because everything he was seeing on the TV was just like the scene he envisioned last night in his frustration and anger. In his mind, there was only a single thought, a strange certainty that he had the ability to see the future. He remembered a TV program he'd seen years ago about whether psychic powers were real or not. There was a psychic on the show who could see the future and put their powers to incredible use during the test the show had given. At the time, it was a huge deal. If I knew what Doctor Who was, Chris, I'd be able to understand what you mean by that. In the test, 12 items were put into 12 boxes numbered 1 to 12, and they had to guess which one would be put in which. The psychic would be in another room before anything happened and make their guesses there. Afterward, the show staff would put the items into the boxes, and the results would be checked. Astonishingly, the psychic was 90% accurate. Amazing the rest of the cast. Takumi had been watching the show, and he'd made his own predictions as well. Every single one was right. Of course, he'd never told anybody this. But that's why now. He thought that he'd foretold the crash unfolding on the screen.
They said over half the class was injured. How awful!
I mean, Chris, just because it's one of the longest running sci-fi shows doesn't mean I know what it is. I don't know what Star Wars or Star Trek really are either. Yes, I'm that guy. I'm that Leet who's very much a case of Firefly or nothing. His mother tried to reach down and pick him up, but he slid past her and crawled to the corner of the room.
I'm so glad though.
She whispered in a hollow voice, her gaze wandering around the room. Yes, Avian, we're going with the Schrodinger's cat approach here, aren't we? Because he made his predictions, did that mean the psychic was suddenly wrong? I mentioned Zero Escape earlier and I'm getting more and more flashbacks. Go check out @Queen3210 over on YouTube if you want to see anything to do with Zero Escape. She played through all 3 games. And they're all brilliant.
今日タクちゃんを休ませておいて
本当によかった。
I'm so glad I get you home today.
Takumi felt like he was about to throw up. It was all rotten, he thought. What good was seeing the future? In that moment, he felt his heart turn cold. For a while, he didn't talk to anyone. He became completely silent. He didn't say a single word to a single person. His parents were already overprotective, but this only made it worse. He gradually started to find them ridiculous and began to keep up his silent act deliberately. That was his way of getting back at his parents, he thought. He was so quiet they took him to a psychiatrist at a general hospital. He was diagnosed with PTSD. Of course, he didn't have PTSD, so he never took the medicine they gave him. He just pretended to take it. I mean, that's really dangerous. Diagnosing a kid with PTSD and then medding them up. I can't think of a faster way to fuck a kid up than that. Got respect for him now, saying, no, I'm not taking that shite. It's an interesting point, Chris, but I get the feeling it's more about being on the bus than a death bus. I'm pretty sure he visioned an amazing day where everything was awesome until he wasn't on the bus and he visioned death. His parents never picked up on the act, and even when he saw how worried and miserable they looked, he didn't feel the slightest bit guilty. Yes, Christopher. It all felt like a lie. The whole world was filled with fiction. It was filled with evil. Evil that was out to get me.
いつもあなたが使っているチャットルームへログインして自分で調べてみてください。
Log in the chat room you always use and see for yourself.
私の言っていることが間違っていないってわかるはずです。
You'll see that I'm telling the truth.
それと
And
私が言ったことは全部本心です。これだけは信じて。
everything I said, I meant. If nothing else, I want you to believe that.
After her bizarre speech, she added that last sentence and then left. Of course I couldn't believe her. How could I believe her when she'd lied to me? The everything I was that she'd shown me was something I refused to accept no matter what. I wanted to believe there was no way I could be Shogun. I mean, it would be interesting if we were playing a character with what's known as dissociative identity disorder, where a person has more than one identity and they don't realise it. I don't actually know anyone personally who's had it, but it was the plot point for an ancient anime called Perfect Blue back in 1999, and it's been a trope in many movies. Although apparently, people who actually have dissociative identity disorder, they often don't have two. They have 4 or 5 or many more, which I find terrifying. I find the idea of having, like, you know, these, what you could call B to D personas that you slip into and don't know, and then some, especially if someone who knows you as that person suddenly appears, it'd freak me the F out. But from the timestamps on the chat log, it was clear that the conversation didn't make sense.
僕は無遊病なの。
Was I sleepwalking?
I shouldn't need to see this, but I'm interested in what the tips list says for it. Also known as somnambulism or noctambulism, sufferers of this disorder will get up from bed while sleeping, especially during non-REM sleep, aka non-rapid eye movement, and engage in activities such as wandering around the house, eating or bathing. They cannot, however, engage in any but the simplest of conversations. Each case is different, but generally state lasts around 30 minutes before the person goes back to bed and returns to sleep. The sufferer is completely unconscious at all points and has no memory of their actions. Sleepwalking is most commonly seen in people with other mental conditions, and it is believed that stress is the cause. I don't know about that final part, but the rest of it sounds kind of accurate. In fact, as we're in a new chapter, we'll do a new save. At the time that Shogun had sent me these messages, I hadn't been asleep. I'd been at a cafe, sure, Well, I hadn't been asleep. I couldn't have been sleepwalking. And why didn't I have any memories at all of writing these comments as Shogun? Was my body under someone else's control? Leave the fourth wall alone! Also, by the way, you can barely see it, but there's actually a reference in this screen. Miku.mp3. Reference to Hatsune Miku. Wow, Chris! I mean, that's an interesting experience. I won't say any more because obviously I don't want to draw too much attention to it, but I've never actually heard of it. I've never known anyone who's actually been around someone who's done it. That's really, really fascinating. The very idea was ridiculous. I decided what I needed to escape. I needed to escape from all the lies with some good old ESO, my other fictional world. In ESO, everything was a lie. It was just a game, after all. But in Baselard, I could be Nightheart, a godlike being. If only the lies and the fictions could be like this, I could accept that reality. I wanted to be here forever. Oh, wow, that's amazing. I mean, if that's a solution that works, that's incredible. There's nothing more I can say to that, Chris. That is so wholesome. That's awesome. What's wrong with that? Or maybe ESO's world was the real one, and this one was the fake. This one was the game. Nishijo Takumi was just a fictional character. Leave the fourth wall alone! And my true identity was Nightheart.
ね
Hey,
え、ナイ
Nightheart.
トハルト。
I called out to the paladin on the screen. Am I controlling you, or are you controlling me? Are you the real person, and I'm the avatar? What if the world I'm in is a game? The poor fourth wall is a pile of mush. Please leave it alone. If that was the case, it would explain everything. If somebody was staring at me right now, just like how I was staring at Nightheart, whose eyes are those? The answer to that question would be the player controlling me. If that was the case, then I wish they'd stop sucking at the game so much, but an avatar doesn't get to complain. Oh, I suck at the game, do I? Nishijo Takumi. How about I choose the delusional route every time and get the worst ending possible now just to spite you? Also, leave my streams alone. Everyone knows I suck at the game. It would explain how Shogun and I could be the same person. It was like with Liselot. Liselot and Nightheart couldn't exist in Baselot at the same time. They both had the same player. Me. Maybe in the same way, Nishijo Takumi and Shogun couldn't both exist in this world at the same time. Or maybe it was like a bug. Speaking of bugs, maybe these strange women appearing in the murder cases were all bugs too. Wow, go back to the incel realm. Just as you started sounding interesting. The image of Shogun sent me flash through my mind and I winced. I shook my head desperately. I wanted to run away from everything. If there is a player controlling me, then please reset the game. I don't think it's going to do anything, but out of morbid curiosity, let's do a quick load. Out of morbid curiosity. Just start over from the character creation. Boo! I'd have given the game points if something had happened then. Maybe that's an ending you unlock after beating the first game, if you know what I mean, like it's a new game plus ending. Because obviously there is no character creation, so I can't start from the front. Oh, that's disappointing. Even if it was just a little Easter egg, it would have been nice. The waiting room at the university hospital was filled to overflowing with old people waiting for their exams. Nothing had changed since I first come here several years ago. It was as if time itself had stopped. Everyone wore a gloomy expression. Between that and the stench of disinfectant, the air was heavy and stale. 5 minutes in this room was enough to make you want to kill yourself. I didn't like hospitals. The lobbies were filled with people, but once you went down a hallway, it felt like you were completely alone. It always really scared me. It felt like the hallways were full of the stench of death. It always seemed to me that death was the true face of a hospital. And if you went further down the hallways, you'd find even more terrifying, awful secrets. So to tell the truth, I didn't want to come, but there was something I had to know. And so I had no choice but to sit here, waiting for my exam. Even while I was playing ESO, the words Ewa had said kept spinning through my mind, and I couldn't concentrate at all. I ended up staying awake all night, imagining all kinds of terrible things, and started to get really scared of there being something wrong with me. At last, I decided to go to a hospital, so I could get a doctor to tell me that I was completely normal. I wanted to prove that Ewa was the crazy one, not me. I was used to coming to the psych ward of this hospital. When the lady at the front desk had asked me if it was my first time here, I nodded without thinking about it. But it wasn't my first time at all. Ever since the bus accident, my parents had taken me here on a regular basis. When I got to middle school, my doctor told me I was completely cured and I'd stopped going. It had been about 4.5 years since I'd last come here. The first doctor to look at me was an old man, who was supposedly an authority in his field. But he'd only talked to me the first few times before handing me off to one of his students. Of course, his student wasn't that much younger either. If anything, he looked older than the first one. That doctor, Dr. Takashina, had said something to me that I'd remembered last night.
ここは病気や怪我だけじゃなくて心にも効く病院なんだよ。
This hospital doesn't treat illnesses or injuries. It treats the heart. I didn't like the hospital, but he was really nice, and he seemed like a really good guy. Not that this had stopped me. I'd kept up my act of deceiving the adults. It was Dr. Takashina who'd seen through my deception, though, and had given me an official diagnosis of completely cured.
あの人に
If I
調
could
べ
get
てもらえ
him
れば
to take a look at me, what would he say if he knew I'd grown up to be a creepy otaku? No. He probably didn't even remember me. It wasn't long at all before I was called into the exam room. I thought I'd be asked to wait longer, but that wasn't the case at all. What about all those people in the lobby? Maybe they were all fakes, put there by the hospital to make it look busy. What, is this Shutter Island or the Truman Show now? It was a different exam room than the one I'd been seen in 4 years ago, but I recognised how he welcomed me when I came in.
やあ、西条くん。
Hello, Nishijo. Dr. Takashina was looking at me with a cheerful smile. Nothing had changed since I'd last come here 4 years ago. Feeling relieved, I just let loose with everything I was feeling. Absolutely, Chris, yes. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Fantastic film, by the way, people. If you've not seen The Truman Show, check it out.
先生助けて
Doctor, help me.
どうしたんだい？
What's wrong?
変な女が僕にストーカー行為を
There's this girl. She's stalking me.
このままじゃ学校にも行けないし家にも一度来られて場所知られてるから安心できないし
I can't go to school anymore. She came to my house once and knows where I live. So don't feel safe.
落ち着いて。
Calm down.
落ち着いてなんていられないよ
I can't stay
あ
calm.
の女異常だ僕は正常なんだそれに岩だけじゃない悪魔女だって
That woman is crazy. I'm the normal. And it's not just you. It's that demon girl, too.
そうだ悪魔女が真犯人なんだ
That's right. The demon girl is behind the killings.
真犯人
The killing?
ニュージェネの犯人だよ。
She's the new gen killer.
間違いないんだ。僕は事件現場で死体を貼り付けにしてる最中のあの女を見たんだ。
I'm sure of it. I saw her sneaking a corpse to the wall.
大丈夫だ。何も心配いらないから。
Everything's fine. You don't need to worry about a
と
thing.
にかく落ち着こう。いいね。
Just calm down. All right. I fell silent. I didn't understand what was fine. But if a professional, a doctor, especially Dr. Takashina, said so, I must be fine. That's what I told myself. I was getting so excited that I was having trouble breathing. I took a moment to catch my breath. He was staring at me with a grave look on his face. He seemed really serious.
本当に大丈夫
Um,
なの？
am I really okay?
もちろんだよ。
Of course.
あんな危ない女が僕を、狙ってるのに
That dangerous girl is after me.
なんでそう言い切れるの？
How can you be so sure? Don't worry about a thing. Yeah, don't worry. Be happy. If a therapist ever says that to you, by the way, fire them.
理由を知りたいかい？
You want to know why? I nodded, and he sighed a little. He was fiddling a little with his pen in his hands as he spoke.
なぜなら、君の言っている女の人は、
Because the girl you're talking about,
この世には存在しないからだよ。
she doesn't exist.
でも
Huh? But...
君は自分の妄想に怯えているだけなんだ。
You're afraid of your own delusions. His voice was eerily kind. My body was shaking. It wouldn't stop. Why was he being so kind?
西条くん、君はその女の人には会っていない。わか
Nishijo,
るね？
you never met that girl. Do you understand?
わからないよ。
I don't.
じゃあ、もっと具体的に言おうか。
Let me be more specific then. You've been strapped in a hospital ward for 4.5 years. You've not gone to school. You've been going nowhere.
君はその女の人には会えるはずがないんだ。
You can't have met her.
もう7年間も君は
Because for the past 7 years,
この病院から
you have not
一歩も
taken a step
外に出
outside
ていないんだからね。
this hospital. I mean, I chose the delusion route, so that was going to be the obvious outcome there, people. I'm going to ignore the phone for that one. What did he mean? Huh? What was he saying?
君はこの病院の精神科に7年間入院している。
You've been in the psych ward of this hospital for the past 7 years. You know that, right? I don't understand. I can't understand. Why was he telling me this crazy stuff with a smile on his face? I looked down at the clothes I was wearing. When I'd come here, I was wearing a Sarah t-shirt and a long-sleeved denim shirt over it. I was wearing my only pair of jeans too. So why was I now wearing a hospital gown? It was a pale green one-piece gown, a simple one that tied in the front with a string. I wasn't wearing pants beneath it. When did I change
こ
clothes?
こは閉鎖病棟だからお見舞いの人も来ない。
This is a closed ward. No visitors.
入院患者さんも男女で別フロアに分けられていて行き来はできない。
And the patients are separated into male and female floors, which are locked off from each other.
精神科の看護師は全員男だし、
All the nurses in the psych ward are male.
君の病室は完全に個室。
And you don't have any roommates or windows either.
つまり、君は7年間女性と接触したことがないんだ。
You haven't had contact with a girl for the past 7 years. including family members.
思い出したかな？
Do you remember now? No, it wasn't true. I wasn't locked in some hospital room. I lived alone in Shibuya. I was a top-ranked player in the ESO. I even went to school 2 or 3 times a week. And I talked to the nurse at the front desk just a minute ago. Is this your first time here? Yes. Then please fill out this form.
嘘に決まってる。
It has to be a lie.
本当にそう思うのかい？
Do you really think so? He wrote something on my chart as he whispered. I couldn't read what he was writing. It wasn't Japanese. English? No. German?
だとしたら、君の精神はまだ異常だっていうことだよ。
If you do think that, it means you're still having mental problems.
もうしばらくは入院が必要だね。
You'll have to stay in the hospital a while longer. He glanced at me. His eyes were filled with pity. He'd never looked at me like that before. I fell to my knees, helpless. The tears came quickly. And now I see. That's right. All of my memories were just delusions of mine. I was the abnormal one. I was the crazy one. What an awful ending. But well, it didn't even matter now. Even if the memories were just a delusion, they weren't particularly good ones anyway. And I could just create new ones, right? Maybe I could have a world where nothing scary happened. I could be social and outgoing and get good grades. Girls would love me. All my friends would be girls who looked good enough to be models, and they'd all be in love with me. And then I could suggest that we live under the same roof. That would be the beginning of fun, bittersweet, and slightly crazy days for me. I forced myself to laugh. It didn't really work. My expression froze up. I wanted to die. Suddenly, I realized I was still sitting on the sofa in the lobby. My body was soaked with a terrible sweat. A cold chill ran down my spine. I started looking around at the room, unsure of what had just happened. There was an old, hunched woman sitting next to me. Her eyes were buried so deep in her wrinkles that I couldn't tell if she was awake or not. I looked up at the clock above the reception counter and saw that I'd been here in the lobby for over an hour. Was that just a dream? Had I fallen asleep while I was waiting, since I hadn't slept at all last night? I sighed deeply. What an awful dream. It was a dream. Right? I tried to remember my life until yesterday. It was okay. My memories were all connected. I'd encountered the demon girl at the crime scene, and then Yura had lied to me and threatened me, and then I'd come to this hospital to prove I was sane. Yeah, it was all fine. I would have preferred if it was all a delusion, of course. Maybe I would have been happy if I could have made a new world and had a lot of fun with it. I was just that sick of this world. In the end, I waited another 2 hours before they finally called my name. Yeah, I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Yes, he's certainly someone who's got not all their fruit in one basket, it would seem. When I went into the exam room, it was the same as I'd seen in my dream. I thought for a minute I was back in the dream again. Dr. Takashino looked just like he had in my dream too. Maybe he just hadn't changed much over the past 4 years.
今日はどうしました？
What brings you here today? He didn't start by telling me that all my memories were delusions, but... Actually, yes. Doesn't have all their crayons in the box. That's actually right, Avian. Yes.
西条です。
I'm, Nishijo.
ん？ああ、これはご丁寧に。
Hmm? Oh, nice to meet you.
高階です。はじめまして。
My name is Takashina. Let's get started. He bowed to me. I couldn't say anything. Nice to meet you. That's what you just said. He'd forgotten me. It made sense. It had been 4 years after all. But I'd thought that he of all people would remember me. I'd kind of had that hope, whether it was fair or not. When that hope was shattered, it just made me sadder. It felt like it didn't matter. He looked in my eyes, he spoke, but I looked away.
無遊病かどうか調べてほしいと書いてあるが、
You said you wanted to find out if you were sleepwalking.
何かあったのかな？
Did something happen? That's right. That's what I'd said on the farm. But it didn't matter now. If you didn't even remember me.
別にいいじゃん。
Who cares?
先生が覚えてようが覚えてなかろうが関係ないっしょ。最初の目的を忘れちゃダメ。
Who cares if the doctor remembers you or not? Don't forget why you came here.
Oh, right. I hadn't come here to see Dr. Takashina. I come to prove that I was normal. Seeing him again was just a bonus. What did it matter if he forgot me? And that's right, Chris, yes. That is none other than Sarah, his 2D waifu. If Sarah-tan hadn't reminded me, I might have broken down right there.
あの
Time loss. I've heard of that phenomenon, Avian. I can't say I've experienced it myself. Well, that's interesting if you say that's happened. I say it's not something that I've had happen to me.
自分でも知らないうちに外に出かけててパソコンで文章打っててそれを全く覚えてないなんてありえますか？
Is it possible that you could say, leave your house, go to a computer, type a message, and then not remember it at all?
おお。
Ooh.
知り合いからそう指摘されて混乱しちゃって。
So somebody I know told me I was doing that, and it really confused me.
その知り合いの人が冗談を言っているっていう可能性はあると思うかい？
Do you think it's possible they were joking? Interesting pun, Avian. I don't know. It's not the kind of thing I'd remember. I remember saying that myself, so that's a bit of an odd one. Yua's eyes have been dead serious. She didn't look like she was teasing me or anything. If nothing else, she certainly seemed to believe what she was saying.
わかりません。
I don't know.
なるほど。
I see.
ちなみにその知り合いとはどういう関係だろう？恋人？
Can you tell me more about your relationship with this person? A girlfriend, perhaps?
は
Huh? What was this guy talking about? What did that have to do with anything?
いや、言い方が悪かったかな。じゃあ言い直そう。
That was probably not the right way to phrase it. Let me try
そ
again.
の知り合いの人は、君が意識もないまま歩き回っているのを実際に目撃したのかな？
Did this person actually see you up and walking while you weren't awake? Oh, was that what he meant? I shook my head.
じゃあ証拠はないわけだ。
Then there's no evidence of it. I shook my head again.
そいつ探偵気取りっていろいろ証拠を突きつけてきて。
She thinks she's some kind of detective. She showed me all kinds of evidence.
そういうことか。
I see.
ちなみにこれまでにも無遊病の兆候はあったかい？
And has there been any evidence of history of sleepwalking in your past?
いえ。
No.
朝目覚めたらいつものベッドじゃなくて違う場所で寝てたっ っていうことは過去に一度でもあった？
You've never woken up to find yourself not in your bed, anything like that.
いいえ、
No.
じゃあその知り合いに言われたのが初めてっていうことだね。
Then you didn't notice anything until she told you. I nodded weakly before forcing myself to speak.
僕、寝てないんです。
I wasn't sleeping.
もしかして怖いのかな。でもそんなに深刻になる必要はないよ。
Are you scared? You don't need to be so worried.
いや、
No, that wasn't it. That wasn't what I wanted to say. But I wasn't sure how to explain it and couldn't get my thoughts together in my head. I lost my chance to speak. He scribbled something in his chart before spinning around to turn away from me, and then leaned forward, toward the back of the exam room.
葉月くん、ちょっと。
Hazuki, come here.
はい。
Yes, sir.
A young nurse came over. The doctor showed her my chart and said something softly to her, and then she quickly went further into the room. What was that about? He turned to face me again. Then, in a gentle tone, he explained to me what sleepwalking was. When someone falls asleep, he said, first they enter REM sleep, and then non-REM sleep. REM sleep was when the body was asleep, but the brain was close to fully awake. Non-REM sleep was a deeper sleep, when the brain also rested.
無遊病はノンレム睡眠の時に起きやすいって言われてる。
Sleepwalking is said to occur mostly during non-REM sleep.
脳が通常の活動をしていないから普通の受け答えとかは成立しにくいけど、ちゃんと返事もするし、階段などを踏み外さずに上り下りすることだってできる。
The brain isn't as active as it normally is, so you can't really engage the person in conversation. But they're able to answer questions and even walk up and down stairs without missing a step.
原因としては精神的なストレスを抱えてる時になりやすいんだ。
It happens often during periods of extreme psychological stress.
子供に多い症状だけど、成人でもよくある症状なんだよ。
Sleepwalking is most common in children,
深刻になることはないって言った意味が。
but it happens to adults as well. You understand now, right? It's not something you need to be so worried about. I see. But I wasn't sleeping. And yet I was still doing things I didn't remember. The whole time I'd been supposedly typing into that chatter's Shogun in room 37, I'd thought I'd been playing ESO. Was that what you'd call sleepwalking? I wanted to ask, but the doctor just kept talking.
無遊病かどうかを調べる方法としてはいくつかある。一番手っ取り早いのはここのベッドで寝てもらうことだね。
There are several ways to test for sleepwalking. The fastest would be to have you fall asleep in this bed, right here.
ただ特定条件じゃないと発生しない場合もあるかもしれない。
But sometimes it only occurs
自
under
分のベッド
specific
じゃないと
conditions,
ダメとか。
such as when you're sleeping in your own bed, for instance.
意識がない状態で出歩くにしても目的もなくふらふらと歩き続けるのか。
Hands off the kidneys, eh, Chris? Yeah, no, I'm not lying down here. Another question is whether, when you're walking about while unconscious, you just walk around randomly.
それとも何らかの脅迫観念があってそれに影響されて何らかの一連の目的を持って出歩いているのか。
Or it's some kind of obsessive compulsiveness compels you to follow a certain series of actions.
それに君の精神状態についても特定の条件下じゃないとダメかもしれない。自宅のベッドの上ならリラックスできるけどここじゃリラックスのしようがないわけだ。
It's also possible that your mind needs to be in a certain mental state. For example, you could feel relaxed at home, but not here.
どうする？とりあえず寝ていってみるかい？
Well, want to try taking a nap here? Wouldn't hurt to try. I could make sure I wasn't sleepwalking and ask him the questions I'd come to ask. The nurse has a key, led me to a bed in the back. It wasn't meant for sleeping, so it was hard and uncomfortable. Still, it was better than the sofa I was used to sleeping on.
3時間くらいしたら起こしに来ますから。
I'll be back to wake you up in 3 hours.
The nurse was really cute. I mean, they have definitely gone for the cutesy anime trope here, haven't they? They really have. I lay on the bed, glancing at her while trying to make sure our eyes didn't meet. She had a somewhat young, helpless-looking face, and the air of someone whose life wasn't really working out they wanted it to. Wow! What a judgmental asshole! Working a really good job as a nurse, and it's not working out the way she wanted it to. Still, she went about her work quickly and steadily. I mean, I could read this line out, but if I do, I'm going to get banned from Twitch. Moving on!
できるだけ目は離さないようにしていますので、安心して眠ってくださいね。
I'll make sure to keep an eye on you as best I can, so don't worry about a thing. Just get some sleep.
And good evening, Queen. Did you arrive at a bad time? Well, I mean, yes. Maybe you did. In other words, she'd been watching to make sure I didn't get up and start walking around.
それでは、ごゆっくり。
Good night.
She smiled a little before closing the curtains and leaving. Surrounded by the white curtains, I let out a deep breath. I could hear lots of things. The voice of the doctor as he examined his patients, the other nurses walking around, even the door as it opened and closed. It was pretty hard to relax. Could I really sleep like this? I tried to close my eyes, just to see if it would work. The second I did, the Guro images that Shogun sent and the sight of the corpse nailed to the wall came flooding back to me. I forced myself to think of Sarah-tan instead. Go on, since she's his waifu. Well, since she's his waifu, let's see what happens.
Wow, Taki, you hate going outside, but you still came to a hospital. Amazing!
私前から思ってたんだけどさ、タッキーって実はすごく強い男の子だよね。
You know, I always thought you were a really strong boy.
Inside my delusion, she was happily bouncing up and down. Next, she whispered to me in a sweet voice.
私、そんなタッキーの強さが好き。
I love how strong you are, Taki.
それに、タッキーは無遊病なんかじゃないよ。私、毎日タッキーのこと見てるもん。だからわかるさ。
And you don't sleepwalk, by the way. I see you every day, so I know.
Queen, all I'm going to say is, just watch the archive. The story that unfolds gets a bit weird.
三次元女になんか騙されちゃダメだぞ。タッキーには私がいるっしょ。
Don't let any 3D girls fool you. You've got me, right?
またあのコンテナハウスで二人きりで過ごそうね。ボケナス。
Let's go back to your container house and spend our days together. Just the two of us. Dark.
Sarah, you're so cute. Sarah. Sarah was my ideal waifu. After all, no girl could ever be better than her. 3D? Who cares about 3D? I couldn't wait to go home. Sarah was waiting for me with a big smile and a
Welcome home.
just wait, Sarah-tan. I'll be coming for you.
帰らなくてもいいよ。
You don't need to go
ど
home.
ういうこと？
What do you mean?
迎えに来たから。
I came to see you.
Her whispered voice sounded so real. I felt her poking my cheek. At least it kind of felt like that. I slowly opened my eyes.
おはよ、ボケナス。
Good morning, Dark.
Next to my bed, I saw Sarah-tan. Pre-transformation, Sarah Amanagawa version. She wasn't 1/8 scale. She was full-sized. and she moved smoothly and realistically. I gulped and sat up, poking the life-size Sarah-tan in the chest.
Ah!
お
They were soft. She wasn't a figure. It was really her. Sarah-tan had come to the 3D world.
のんのん。ここは二次元だよ。
No, no, this is 2D.
Huh? It is? Even though they're so soft?
二次元的にプニプニなんさ。
Kind of sense does that make?
They're soft in a 2D way.
I've got nothing. That makes no sense. I didn't know what that meant. But if they were soft, that was all that mattered. Ugh. I realised belatedly that I'd just touched her breasts and suddenly got really embarrassed. Oh, you only got embarrassed, did you? You didn't get ashamed or punched or stabbed? The life-size Sarah was really cute. I could just die of moe. Oh. And she was so realistic too. That's why I suddenly felt guilty for touching her breast. Oh, finally, he's showing a real human emotion. He feels some guilt. And worried that she might hate me for it, as she should.
ごめん、セイラたん。
I'm sorry, Sarah-tan.
タッキーならいいよ。
Ugh.
It's okay. If it's you. Taki?
本当
Really?
他の人にはこんなことされるのは嫌だけどさ。
Oh dear.
Yeah. I wouldn't want any other guy.
I'm not finishing that sentence.
特に進むとか。あいつに胸触られたら金棒で月までぶっ飛ばしちゃってる。
Especially Susumu. I'd blast him to the moon with my club.
静かに。声出すと看護師さんたちに見つかっちゃうっしょ。
Shh. Be quiet. The nurse will hear you.
Sarah-tan seemed to be paying close attention to what was going on outside the curtain. She took off her shoes and quietly got on the bed with me, being careful not to make a sound. She lifted herself onto my lap. Hey! I almost said something, but quickly put my hand over my mouth. Sarah-tan was sitting on my lap. Nope. Sarah-tan put her face up close to mine. She smelled good. So this was what Sarah-tan smelled like.
ねえねえ、タッキー。
Hey, Taki.
タッキーも二次元になっちゃうべきだよ。
You should become 2D too.
What did she mean?
タッキーはまだ三次元なんさ。
You're still
だ
3D.
からあたしが二次元にしてあげる。
So, I'll make you 2D.
いいっしょ。
That's okay, right?
Could she do that?
できるよ。それに
I can. And
She's reading his thoughts. He should be terrified.
すっごく気持ちいいよ。
Hey, no. I could hear the sound of the nurses walking around outside and of the doctor talking to another patient. The only thing separating me from them was a single curtain. If it was opened, everyone would see us. Maybe, Chris? I don't know is the answer to that one. I mean, I always think of Hifumi and Danganronpa. Of course, you can like me because of the 2D variety. Ugh. God, I hated that character. He was a fucking knobhead. Go and watch the archive of Danganronpa on the YouTube channel if you want to see more about that. The excitement and guilt I felt from doing something like this at a hospital was making me dizzy. Especially since I was with Sarah Tam. I was so happy. I couldn't think about anything else. I just nodded my assent.
そうこなくっちゃ。
That's what I wanted to hear.
そんなタッキーが好き。
I love you. Taki?
She pressed her lips against mine. Well, it's not quite as distasteful as I thought it would be. For once, the game's done me a solid. No, I'm not making those noises. The game can do that for me. They were so soft. Was this 2D softness too? Maybe they were softer than real ones. How does that make sense? My brain wasn't keeping up with these sudden H-game developments. All I could do was sit there. As I sat in confusion, Sarah Tan's tongue slipped between my lips. I felt so much pleasure. I thought I'd go crazy. Who knew a kiss could feel so good? I wanted her luscious tongue to keep having its way with my mouth forever. And that's as close as you're going to get to me reading audio porn. Unless you count those weird books from the Dishonored stream, actually, now I think about it. I wrapped my hands around her waist, but her body was flat because she was 2D. It was soft, but flat. Like kissing paper, maybe. I'm not going to try it, but I don't think kissing paper is soft. Maybe it's just me. But it still felt so good that I didn't care. I was so overcome that I couldn't even think about it. Sarah Tan was so hot. That actually sounded disgusting. She sucked on my tongue. Well, that doesn't sound very pleasant. I felt like I was about to die. I couldn't take it. Yeah, that's not my idea of pleasant. No, thank you. It was starting to hurt. The suction coming from her mouth was incredible. I tried to pull my tongue back, but I couldn't. She sucked harder. Yep, I think he's met a literal succubus. My tongue was being pulled forward, so hard I thought it might tear. And not just my tongue. The back of my throat burned. My eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. I couldn't breathe. My chest hurt. It felt like my stomach was being turned inside out. She sucked harder. Sarah Tan was sucking up everything. My organs, my flesh, my bones. I could feel my beating heart pounding as it came up my throat. I could hear the thick arteries connected to it snapping within my body. It was an impossible feeling. The pain was unbearable. But more than that, it felt good. My whole body had become an erogenous zone. Literally every inch of me. Not just my skin, but the inside of my throat, my heart, my blood vessels, my lungs, my intestines. Sarah Tan had her way with my body, sucked it up. Being eaten by her felt so good. Made me so happy. I felt I might pass out. I was going to die. I was going to die of pleasure. Sarah Tan let go. Satisfied, after sucking up everything inside my body, a mix of blood and drool was dripping from her lips.
タッキーのすごく美味しかった。
Taki? You were delicious.
She smiled. I didn't have the strength to answer. She'd taken everything from me. I'd never felt such incredible pleasure. I couldn't even think, my mind like it was the thick fog. I had trouble forming coherent
ほら
thoughts.
タッキー、自分の体見てみて。
Look, Taki. Look at your body.
タッキーもこれで二次元の住人だよ。
You're 2D now.
Unsteadily, I lowered myself off the bed. My body was flat, like hers now. Yes, Queen, I'm pretty sure I did. It was hard to walk. I felt unsteady and soft and couldn't stand up. I fell to my knees and then collapsed to the ground without a sound. Saratan, I can't get up. Help me. I heard her voice from up on the bed.
二次元へようこそ。
Welcome to 2D.
I leapt up, only to find myself still on the bed. My heart was pounding so fast. My heart was still in my chest. I patted myself all around my body. It wasn't flat. I was still 3D. Sarah Tan was nowhere to be seen. Of course she wasn't.
夢か。
A dream. Huh? I wasn't sure if that had been a good dream or a bad one. No, it was a bad one. It was bad. But as you say, Chris, if that was the green route, what was the red route? Maybe I don't want to know. I let out an unconscious sigh. What I had just experienced was right out of a doujinshi I bought, a blood tune won by Circle Piru Piru. I must have used that doujinshi as a basis for my delusions. Why didn't I realise while I was in a dream? I knew, of course, that you would never knew you were in a dream while you were in one, but it still bothered me.
西条さん。
Nishijou.
I heard a voice call me from behind the curtain. It quickly opened, and I saw the nurse from before, Hazuki.
おはようございます。
Good morning.
I looked down and bowed to her silently and silently.
結局3時間ぐっすりでしたね。
You slept for 3 whole hours.
Huh? It's been 3 hours already? I hadn't really kept track of the time because of that crazy dream. I must have been really tired.
少しうなされていたみたいですけど、大丈夫？
You seem to be having some kind of nightmare. Are you okay?
I couldn't tell her what it was a naughty dream. You were literally being eaten from inside out. If that's a naughty dream for you, then you have severe problems. I was a little ashamed of my libido, to be honest. Bruh. Seriously, bruh.
でも、無遊病の症状は結局出ませんでしたよ。
But there was no sign of sleepwalking. I can tell you that.
Her tone was reassuring.
まあ、今日はたまたま症状が出なかっただけかもしれないから、無遊病でないっていう断定はできないですけど。
Well, it's possible that you just didn't show any symptoms today. We can't be 100% certain.
No, I'm not a sleepwalker. I needed to ask the question I came here for. But I didn't see the doctor. Hazuki offered me a sheet of paper. I looked at it. There were various questions for me to answer.
それはあなたの心理状態を把握するためのチェックシートです。心理テストのようなものね。それを書いてくれたら今日はもう帰っていいって先生が。
This is a worksheet that will help us understand your current mental state. Think of it like a psychological test. Once you fill it out, the doctor says you're free to go.
And now I feel like I'm about to see the ending of GTA 5 again. Chris knows exactly what I'm on about with that one.
先生は。
Can I talk to him?
ごめんなさい。ずっと診察が続いてて。
Sorry, he's busy with other patients.
来週まで様子を見て、まだ改善が見られないようならもう一度来てくださいって。
He says to wait a week, and if your symptoms don't get better, to come back.
To be fair, he wasn't my personal physician or anything like that. He'd probably just given Hazuki, his nurse, instructions for me. Again, yes, Chris, if only it was possible to safely stream it, but unfortunately it's not. There's one particular part of that game that would not make very good viewing. It'd certainly get it banned anyway, you're not wrong. But then what was the point of even coming to this hospital? I wanted to ask about the awful possibility that I was being controlled by somebody who wasn't me. But if Hazuki looked so apologetic that I didn't have the courage to demand to see the doctor, I decided to just fill out the worksheet she'd given me. I'd write all the symptoms I was experiencing on the back, I decided. Then I could come back next week to talk to him again.
チェックシートは質問に対してイエスかノーかだけを答える簡単なものですから。
It's a simple form. You'll be asked a series of yes or no
当
questions.
てはまる点があったらイエスにチェックしてくださいね。
If any of it applies to you, please check
今
yes.
後の西条さんの治療に対する参考にしますから、じっくり考えて答えてください。
We'll use this to determine if you need any further treatment, so please think carefully about your answers.
Hazuki was kind enough to give me a full explanation. Some of the questions on the test were weird. Not the sorts of things you'd expect to be asked at a hospital. It was almost like one of those online personality quizzes. What would answering these questions tell them? Hazuki was staring at me. She wasn't getting ready to leave. It didn't seem like she just had nothing better to do. She was observing me. No. Watching over me. Being watched made me nervous, and so it was hard to think about the questions, but I suppose that was just the nurse's job. Now you see, that's interesting, Queen. Yes, it would be kind of like building the character sheet, but I get the feeling I'm not going to get the chance to answer them. I decided to just forget it and fill out the sheet. Well, maybe I do. Right, okay. So, when you need to talk to someone, do you prefer to text instead of call? You're damn fucking right I do. Do you sometimes have tinnitus? Believe it or not, I do occasionally get whistling in my ears sometimes, so I'm going to say yes. Have you ever felt someone's eyes on you and turned around? Technically, there's eyes on me right now, but the answer is no. Do stationary objects sometimes seem to be moving towards you? I'm not playing Doki Doki Literature Club, no. Have you ever had a premonition that turned out to be right? Yes, I believed I was going to get a job, and the interview was confirmed that I got a correct job, so that counts. Have you ever checked a digital clock and seen the same numbers repeat? Yes. I forgot to plug my alarm in. Have I cried within the last month? No. Game! Come on! Buy me dinner first before asking that question! Buy me dinner first! I'm not fucking answering that! Can you stay I'm not answering that either! Can you fantasize about something with your eyes open? Yes, I believe I've actually got an audience that like me. Does the front of an automobile ever look like a face? Have you ever seen a Mazda? They all fucking look like faces. Do you have difficulty going to the bathroom after watching a horror movie? Hell fucking no. Not a fan of haunted houses? No, they're boring. They are so fucking dull. When starting reading a book, do you lose track of time and immerse yourself? Avian, I want your answer in the chat now. Because I know that I do. Do I think aliens are real? Donald Trump's in the White House. I mean, can there be anything stranger than that? Do I believe aliens are real? I mean, technically by the definition of the term, an alien is a foreign person, so the answer is yes. They're not a fan of haunted houses? Well, the thing is, that's an open question, isn't it, Chris? If you tick yes, well, where's the yes or no answer? It said tick it if it applies to you. So not a fan of haunted houses. Supposing it does tick to me. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, because I think they're boring as fuck. When you look at your horoscopes, it always like, look at my horoscope. Why would the stars give a shit what happens on Earth? Do I get motion sickness easily? Nope. Do I think God exists? If he does, he's got a very strange sense of humour because this world is fucked. I'm going to say no. Do I have a sixth sense? Well, the amount of times I call things on stream, I'm going to have to say yes for that one, I suppose. Oh God, God is a DJ. What was the band who did that? Faithless. That's who it was, yes. I remember them because they had that song about insomnia. When I sleep, do I dream? I don't dream at all. I don't dream. When you are asleep, do you ever understand that you're dreaming? As I told you, I don't dream. Have I ever experienced partial memory loss? I have, actually, and it was when I was on medication. It was fucking horrible. Do we have trouble making eye contact with others? Interesting one, that, because it varies. I'm going to leave that blank because I do actually do occasionally. Does the sight of a lemon make your mouth full of saliva? No. It makes you want to speak to Life's manager. Get mad! I don't want your damn lemons! What am I supposed to do with these? And when people yawn, do I yawn too? No, I don't.
はい、お疲れ様でした。
Okay, thank you.
When I checked off the last few questions, Hatsuki spoke to me before I had a chance to say anything to her. I'd been really embarrassed having her watch me the whole time. It made my face had been red. I quietly handed over the worksheet, trying not to look at her face. I hadn't had time to write my symptoms on the back.
それでは、待合室でお待ちください。
Now, please wait in the waiting room.
No, you said I was free to go. Why am I waiting in the waiting room? You said I was free to go.
お薬が出てますから。
Why?
You'll be given some medicine.
Again, why?
薬
You've not read my sheet. How can you diagnose me with anything and give me medication? What part of the Hippocratic Oath do you not understand? Do no harm. Huh? Medicine? I was getting some kind of prescription. The doctor hadn't said a word about that.
ええ、先生の指示で。弱い精神安定剤です。ぐっすり眠れるようになるし、副作用などもありませんよ。
Yes, those were the doctor's instructions. Some mild sedatives. They'll help you sleep. And you don't have any side effects.
Woohoo. Thanks, Doc. I was appreciative, but also the thought of waiting in that lobby again made me feel miserable. By the time I got back to Shibuya, it was evening. The hospital itself was in Shibuya Ward, but the closest station was Yoyogi. Taking the train was the fastest way to get there and back. Have you noticed this sign here? Value of death. Life is suffering caused by desire. To end the suffering, we must end desire. Could they have put a bigger Chekhov's gun in the game if they tried with that one? I think, actually, believe it or not, I think my camera is slightly blocking it. Oh, 1 second. Just so you can all get a better view of it. I'll move the camera back over onto the right side of the screen in a second. I just wanted to show that off. The Yamanote line was as crowded as ever, and riding just 2 stations was enough to make me feel exhausted. And I agree with him. The Yamanote line, for those of you who don't know Japan, especially Tokyo, it's the green line that goes in a gigantic circle right around Tokyo. Goes to the likes of Akihabara, Tokyo City, Ueno, Ikebukuro, Shibuya, Shinjuku, yeah, and many other places along the way like Otsuka and Nippori. And it's absolutely hammered all the time. Especially at Shibuya because it's one of the hub stations. I didn't think I was up for getting on another train, so I decided to walk from Shibuya station to the base. Yes, rapid transit can make you quite tired, actually. It can be quite soporific an environment, Avian. There were just too many people at the stations. I hated crowds. It always made me feel like I was going to pass out. I didn't want to spend any more time there than I had to, so I quickly tried to get across Scramble Crossing, aka the 109 crossing, an infamous scene with an X shape going through it. That area was so packed. It was hard to even walk in a straight line. If you didn't keep a steady, forward pace, you'd run into people walking beside you or get hit from behind. There were also people blocking your path, trying to hand you packs of tissues with ads on them. They'd even force them into your pocket. Never experienced that myself. I think as a foreigner they wanted to, they didn't think I'd know what they were. I ignored the first one. But the second was a cute lady, so I took some from her. These tissue people were just the worst. They shouldn't have been allowed to stand in the middle of the sidewalk like that. I took the tissues anyway, since there were 3. I looked at the tissues I'd been given. This pack came with a small flyer, with white text on a red background. It was a pretty weird colour combination. What, white on red like the Japanese flag? Seriously? Kind of spooky. It wasn't the combination you saw often. That much I was sure of. Oh, Chris calling him out like that. I mean, you're not wrong. He said he wasn't into 3D goals, so you're not wrong at all. And pedestrian rage. Yes, we've all wanted to punch slow-walking people in the head sometimes. Never done it. Never done it. I read the flyer as I walked along.
There is a shortage of type B blood. There is currently a serious shortage of type B blood in Shibuya. We may no longer be able to deliver blood to all patients that need it, and people may die. Without your blood donation, he will not survive. Please come to the Blood Donation Center in Shibuya Inokashira Line Building.
It was a flyer for a blood donation service. As I looked at it, I thought back to the worksheet I'd been given at the hospital. I didn't see anything like it when I'd gone there 4 years ago. Maybe it was some new kind of diagnostic that had only gotten popular over the last few years. But still, I felt like I'd seen it before. Deja vu. Again. It felt like that what was happening all the time lately. It was really creepy when your body and mind refused to do what you wanted them to. So, I tried to dig through my memories to find out what was going on with this deja vu. My mother used to take me to the hospital about once a week. No matter what they asked, I'd never respond. I'd just move my head up and down or side to side. At first, they saw me in the normal exam room, but when I showed no signs of recovery, they started sending me someplace different. The other place was some kind of counselling room. It had a sofa and lots of stuffed animals, and seemed to have been decorated with the aim of putting the patient at ease. Dr. Takashino never blamed anybody. He just kept trying to make me better. He was the only one who figured out that I could speak, but just didn't want to say anything. My mother would always talk to me in a deliberately chipper voice. Dr. Takashino would always welcome me with a bright smile. The nurses were always kind too, and... And... It felt to me like there had always been somebody else in that room. Right. He was always wearing a dark black suit. It was a weird outfit to see in a hospital. He was just as quiet as I was. Don't think I ever heard him talk. I never did figure out who he was. He didn't feel like a doctor. He always stood just off to the side, looking out the window. I always called him Mr. Nozomi. He never actually given me his name, though. Now, Avian, you're going back to that well, are you? That classic film from the 90s. I mean, maybe he does.
Nozomi.
Nozomi. The man in the suit always wore a small badge. It read Nozomi. It looked like a logo of some kind, so it probably wasn't a name tag. Yeah. The worksheet had the Nozomi logo on it too. No wonder I thought I'd seen it somewhere before. I felt a little better now that the mystery was solved. What was Nozomi though? It was clearly the name of some kind of company.
のぞみさんっていう美人女社長が設立したカウンターテロ組織とか、漫画みたいだ。
Maybe it's a counter-terrorist organization found by its hot female CEO Nozomi. Like in a manga. When I got back to the base, I ran a search for Nozomi. But it was just a common word that meant wish in Japanese, too. So there were too many results to narrow down. Thinking back, the logical assumption was that Mr. Nozomi worked for a company that made those worksheets and was a salesman that had been visiting the hospital. What, wearing a suit and shades and standing in the middle of an operation? Not fucking likely. And I was deliberately avoiding making that joke, Chris. Sometime recently, he'd finally managed to sell the hospital on using the sheets, and today I'd been asked to fill one of them out. No, wait. That was impossible. I'd never heard of a salesman or someone on the outside being allowed to sit in on a patient's sessions Thank you! At last you think. Just who was that guy? Crap. Now I have another nagging memory to deal with. Speaking of nagging memories, I better save my game. It's been a while. Yeah, an hour. I'm not saved for an hour. At least I figured out where the deja vu was coming from. I decided that next week I would ask the doctor about my memories. Until then, I'd forget about school and just stay in my room. I couldn't go to school if there was someone there trying to hurt me. I didn't want to break my schedule, but it wouldn't do me any good if I was dead. I gave up my search for Nozomi and went to that channel to see if there were any interesting threads. It's the new generation madness and I can't bear it. Group dive, pregnant man crucified, to be continued. The news board was filled with nothing but new generation madness threads. Even the ESO board had a recreate the new gen murders in ESO thread going. Yep, there it are. One for you there, Queen. It's laughing coffin. I was getting sick of it. When I logged into ESO, Grim was there. That channel's news boards have been boring as hell lately. Absolutely, yes. Fuck those guys. You're not wrong. It's all new gen crap. Well, it's the biggest news story right now. Every time there's a new case, it's a big festival. Everyone goes crazy. They haven't caught the killer yet. Well, you know, the cops are morons. Some idiots even decided it's actually a cute moe girl. That demon girl. Visions of the dark eyes of the girl I'd seen during the crucifixion killing came back to me, and I shivered. I don't want to remember it at all, but the slightest little thing, and the memories came flooding back. I'd seen the killer's face. I knew who she was. Should I have told the cops? Well, I didn't want to get involved. Demon girl? That's going a little far. Anyway, New Gen is just fascinating stuff. I joined the New Gen community on Furipara. You're getting too into it. The only ones in our guild who aren't into it are you and Big Sis Gagey. Gah. Seriously? If that was true, then I wouldn't be able to keep up with the discussion in our chat channel. New Gen's just really messed up stuff. It's crazy to read about. I knew you were into Guro stuff. But don't tell me you're the kind of guy who wants to see art in his murders. That crucified corpse was such a mess. I thought it was some kind of art piece for a minute. If you wanted to call it artwork, I guess you could. Nah, it'd be better if they had some perverted sexual element to them, right? Like it's the ultimate kind of S&M. Oh, you're one of those guys, huh? This guy's a goner. Someone needs to do something about him. Once you lose your virginity, you'll understand. So you're telling me you're not a virgin? You traitor. Oh. Anyway, there's all kinds of stuff on the aggregator sites. Take a look sometime. Ugh. I didn't want to look at them. They scared me. I wanted to run away from the fact that I'd been at the murder scene. That's why I'd cut myself off from all information about New Gen. That was how I'd hoped I could convince myself that it was all just a delusion, but in ESO, I was practically a god. It wasn't enough to be strong. I had to know everything. Especially since I was kind of a leader in the guild. If I was supposed to be the leader, but I couldn't even keep up with what everyone was talking about. It would just be embarrassing. I had to avoid that. I went to the address Grim gave me. The top banner read, New Gen Aggregator, in big letters. Aggregate sites were some kind of wiki. You don't need me to explain what that is. Where any number of people could add information to articles about a certain topic. A New Gen Aggregator site would have information about New Gen, constantly updated by different users. Some of that information wasn't trustworthy in the slightest, and sometimes there were trolls. But if you wanted an easy way to get a handle on the basic facts of something, it was good. There were always tons of links for one thing. I decided to start with an article called The Case So Far. My pulse started to quicken. Just reading the site was enough to make me nervous. I could feel the sweat forming on my hands. The first case, the one they called Group Dive, was when a group of 5 boys and girls from high school had all jumped off a building. It happened on September 7th, about a month ago. It was in the middle of the night, at a place called Shibuya Cornelius Tower. The 5 had jumped off the building's helipad and died instantly on impact. The autopsy showed that each of them had DNA belonging to someone else under their nails, and there were scratch marks found too. It was theorized from this that the 5 of them must have jumped off while holding hands. There was no sign of any kind of suicide note left on the roof. Below the summary was some kind of information on it by some internet detective. These types were often referred to as snakes, who'd actually gone to Cornelius Tower. Go on then, what's the snakes? Yep, name of a protagonist from a popular series of stealth action games. Hey! Online, the word was used to top people who perform anonymous or top-secret investigations for the benefit of netizens. Sometimes it was referred to as going snaking. Who's that? Yep, you can go and check out Chris JT 1985 over on YouTube for his archive of Metal Gear. When are you doing Metal Gear 2? You've kept us waiting long enough. According to him, the roof was off limits to visitors, and the door to it was kept locked at all times. Of course, it was locked at the time of the jump too. None of the deceased had a key on their bodies when they'd been found. This meant that the helipad was, in a way, a locked room. Like you saw in murder mysteries, there was nothing to suggest how the 5 of them had gotten up there. It was entirely likely that someone else had been there as well. The second case, the pregnant man, happened on September 19th, around 12 days after the first. Early in the morning, near a Shibuya Station underpass, a college student was walking home from karaoke when they'd found a blood-stained man collapsed on the ground. The collapsed man was a university student who lived in Shibuya Ward, named Konoe Chizuo, aged 21. He was dead when he was found, but he had an unnatural bulge in his stomach. The autopsy showed that someone had opened up his chest, shoved a newborn baby into his stomach, and then sewn him back up. In addition, DNA analysis had shown that there was no relation between the baby and the man. He was, according to reports, unmarried and had no girlfriend. The rest of it was internet speculation, but the baby appeared to be in the 32nd week of pregnancy, which would mean it was probably removed from the mother by C-section. Who the mother was, though, or where she was, or what she was doing, or even if she was alive or dead, none of that was known. Ah, nice, excellent. Oh, well, if you are actually going to do Aladdin and the Lion King, I will be glued to watching the frustration from that. And yes, there is potentially another game, but it's not mine to reveal. It was possible that the cops knew, but if they did, they weren't talking. I looked away from the monitor, feeling like I was about to throw up. This was disgusting. The killer was insane. I knew that for sure, and it was also possible that girl had been behind those horrible murders. Japan's screwed. I took a moment to gaze at my beautiful Saratan. Looking at her helped calm me down. I thought about taking the sedatives the doctor had given me, but for now, Saratan was good enough. Still though, I had to do it to keep up Nightheart's reputation as a leader. But reading these hurt.
If it hurts that much, don't read them. I mean, if you're a masochist, I won't stop you. But seeing you suffer hurts. Forget about this. Just do something fun.
I'm not saying that sentence in my own voice, let alone in an anime girl's voice. Moving the fuck on. Sarah-tan was such a nice girl. She was my only true ally. My waifu. I put my elbow on the table and rested my head in my hand. Taking deep breaths, I stared at Sarah-tan's smile. I feel so much better. Maybe I could read a little more if I took breaks to glance over at Sarah-tan. I decided to give it a try. Why had these two seemingly separate incidents both been given the label New Generation Madness? Well, because they're both rather mad and insane. The group dive was treated as just a suicide at first, but after the pregnant man case, the net started taking another look at the group dive and found out how many strange elements there were to the case. Speculation began that it was actually a murder, not a suicide. Supposedly, the parents of the dead kids and their friends all said there was no way they could have killed themselves. Since both the cases were in Shibuya, a traditional centre for young people, the news started calling it the madness created by the new generation of youth, and then simply the New Generation Madness. The name stuck. And then there was that third case, the crucified murder they were calling it. That was the one I'd seen. The aggregator side didn't have much information on the case because it was so new. The murdered man was Ota Hisa, a 56-year-old college professor. He'd been nailed with stakes to the concrete wall of an empty house. Starting at 8 p.m, the estimated time of the crime, neighbours heard what sounded like something hammering a nail. The sound lasted for approximately an hour. I'd heard that sound too. I could still hear it. It was an awful sound. For what it was worth, no connection had been found between it and the group dive or the pregnant man. But after 3 bizarre incidents in the same city as Shibuya, everyone naturally treated the crucified murder as the third part of the New Generation Madness. The media and police were saying that all 3 were committed by different individuals, but the position, or rather hope, of most people online was that it was a single person, or failing that, a single group. There were some bizarre theories involving the occult going around too, and some people were saying New Gen got its start in the earthquake 2 months ago. 2 months ago, there had been an intensity 3 earthquake in Shibuya. Well, that's not aged well, has it, people? Because yesterday, there was an earthquake in Japan. Looking back, it was true that the New Gen incidents had started after the earthquake. So the proponents of the occult theory were saying that the 8 deaths in the earthquake could be counted as the first New Gen case. Yep, suddenly this feels rather distasteful even though it's pure coincidence. Sometimes they get into arguments with the more mainstream New Gen theorists. No matter who was behind it, it was bizarre that 3 such incidents could happen without a single clue as to who was behind it. A lot of people online were eagerly awaiting a 4th incident too. If I wasn't directly involved, I might have been all WKTK myself, participating in the festival, eagerly awaiting for a 4th incident too. Damn it! They were all having so much fun when I was feeling miserable.
犯人を早く捕まえてくれよ。
Why can't you just catch the guy already? It had been over a week since Crucified, and there'd been nothing from the demon girl or the police. If they knew I was there, at a minimum the police would have come to talk to me, but there was no sign of them. It looked like I was going to be able to stay out of this, to not get involved.
あなたには予知能力がありますか？
Can you see the future?
Yua's words flashed through my
予
mind.
知能力があるって思わなきゃ納得できないような画像データをあなたが持っていたから。
If you can't see the future, I don't know how to explain you'd have these images.
Just as I was about to finally relax, I suddenly found myself feeling awful again. The photos that Shogun had sent me. They were still stored on my computer. Everything Yua had said was just a figment of her own delusions. It was crazy. It wasn't even a real theory. I hadn't been able to ask about it at the hospital, but there was no way I could have been someplace else while I was awake, doing something I didn't remember. It was impossible. It had never happened before, for one thing. Those Guro photos had to be fake.
だったらさ、
If you think they are,
合成だって証拠を見つけちゃえばいいさ。
then prove it.
あの画像、解析しちゃおうよ。
Let's analyze those images. But they're creepy, and I don't really want to look at them.
あの女を論破しちゃえば、タッキーはもう怯えることなく平穏な生活に戻れるんだよ。
If you can prove that they're fake to that woman, you'll be able to go back to your normal life and have nothing to be afraid of.
やるしかないっしょ。
You've got to do it. Yeah, that's right. You were seen convinced that I was the one behind Crucified, but that was impossible. I'd seen the person who'd actually done it. I couldn't let her blame me for the crime. I gulped and double-clicked to open the folder where my cash was stored. I'm going to read this scene and then afterwards that's where we're going to call it. Ban Yasuji entered the big conference hall at the Shibuya police station for the first time in 3 days. The conference for what was being called the Mariamacho crucifixion murder had already begun, and some of the officers were glaring at him for being late. Ban forced a weak smile at them before sitting down, telling them he'd been in the toilet throwing up. Didn't seem like it would suit the current mood of the room. They'd assembled a task force to handle the Maruyama crucifixion murder the morning after the incident. Between the Cornelius Tower Group suicide and Shibuya Station area man-baby murder cases, the police force was already stretched thin. So even Ban, a nobody lieutenant from Section 1 of the Tokyo Metropolitan Police, had been sent in to help out the Shibuya ward cops. Since all 3 cases had happened in the jurisdiction of the Shibuya police, there was now a highly unusual situation. 3 different special task force at a single station. Because of this, the team had to take turns scheduling their day in the big conference room. Since the media kept calling it the New Generation Madness, there was rumour going around that they were going to resolve the shortage of officers by bringing all 3 together under a New Gen Special Task Force. All the officers thought it was a stupid idea, but that didn't mean it wouldn't happen. Lieutenant, give me your report. Captain Matsunaga was Ban's boss, and the leader of the task force. He glanced sharply at Ban, but Ban didn't notice. He took a deep breath while waving a paper fan at his face. Lieutenant! Lieutenant Ban! Are you listening to me?
呼ばれてるっすよ。バンさんの報告待ちなんすから。
He's calling you. They're all waiting for your report. Hey!
Only when Ban's partner, a rookie detective named Sue, whispered to him, did he realize he was being called on. We saw him in the school. Now we know why he was there. Oh my god, it's Gumshoe! Tell me that's not Gumshoe from the Phoenix Wright games. YouTube.com/@Queen3210 if you want to see the Phoenix Wright games. Oh, sorry. Sure will give the report.
自分っすか？
Me? I told you to get the report if I wasn't here. Get to it. Is his slimmer younger brother, Queen? Fair enough. After a sharp elbow from his older partner, Sue sighed and stood up.
犯行現場近くの監視カメラの解析がようやく出たっす。
We finally finished analyzing the security camera footage from the area near the crime scene. It showed a suspicious individual in the area at the time of the murder. Murmurs broke out in the room. The air instantly became tense. The detectives from the Shibuya police all began to scribble down notes, careful not to miss anything he said. They were desperate to solve this case. There had been 2 brutal murders. The group dive was still classified as a suicide in the span of a single month in their district. They needed to catch the person responsible, and now, even if it meant dropping their usual stoic demeanor. I'll put the image up on the projector. Sue put up an image on the projector screen, just like Ban had told him to do before they started. It showed a narrow, dirty back alley in Mariamacho, It was night, and there were a few lights, so it was hard to see much of anything at
犯
all.
行現場から約50メートル離れたところにあるコインパーキングの監視カメラです。
This is the camera footage from a commercial parking lot around 50 meters from the crime scene.
The parking lot was a tiny one, with no more than 2 spaces. It was located on a tiny strip of land crammed between 2 buildings. From here, you couldn't see the crime scene. You could barely see the road in front of it. It showed the road a street away from where the killing took place. There was no audio on it either. The footage had a timestamp in the bottom right. It read 21:34.
犯行現場近隣の住民の証言により、21時過ぎから21時半頃まで釘を打ちつける音がしていたというのはご承知の通りだと思いますが、
As I'm sure you're aware, a resident testified about hearing a sound like someone hammering a stake that started after 2100 hours and continued until around 2130 hours.
この映像は21時34分。
This video is from 2134.
直後ということになります。
That is, immediately after the incident.
不審人物が映っているのは21時34分53秒からおよそ6秒間です。
The suspicious person appears on camera at around 21:34:53 for a 6-second period. You can see them running down the street toward the camera.
I like the fact that it's got around 21:34:53 seconds. That's an extremely specific around to have a second for your around point. All it needs now is a point after that and 3 decimal places. Just then, a person appeared on the screen. They were running toward the camera in a clearly disturbed manner. The camera's resolution was low enough that it was hard to immediately tell if the person was male or female, but Ban had already spoken to the science lab and had them analyze it.
科捜研で解析した結果、映っている人物は男。年齢は10代後半から20代とのことっす。
The lab says the individual is male, somewhere in his late teens to 20s.
人相の判別までは無理でした。服装がかなり特徴的ですが、これは小島にある私立水明学園の男子制服と分かりました。
As you say, Chris, it's across the camera, not towards, but suppose it means towards its field of view. It's not well transcribed.
They weren't able to get a physical description of him. That said, the school uniform he's wearing is a pretty distinctive one. It's used by Sume Academy, located in
それ
Shoto.
と、右手に注目してもらいたいんですが、
And if you look at his right hand,
The image changed to a close-up of the person's hand. It was holding something.
スローで再生するとわかるが、走りながら腕を振っている際、この握りしめている何かが駐車場の照明に反射して光を放ってるんだな、これが。
It's easy to see in slow motion, but if you watch his arms while he's running, you'll see that what he's holding reflects light from the parking lot's lamps. When it was time to reveal the big discovery, Ban took over.
形状からして犯行に使われた十字架型の杭である可能性がある。
From its shape, it might be one of the cross stakes used in the crime. More murmurs from the detectives. The killer behind the crucified murder might be a teenager. That was a shock. Maybe the media's new generation madness was more than just a catchy slogan.
最も犯人に近い人物がこの少年だということか。
So this boy is our best lead at the moment.
そういうことになりますね。
That's right. Ban stroked his unshaven chin. It was a habit of his. Whenever he got a step close to finding a criminal, he'd run his fingers through the stubble and enjoy his victory.
以上です。
that's all we have.
Suicide has sat down.
ひどいっすよ、先輩。美味しいところ持ってって。
That was really mean. You took the best part.
Ban ignored Sua's complaints and stared at the image of the teenage boy on the projector.
ようやく尻尾を出したんだ。
We finally got a lead.
離さねえようにしないと。
Trying to make sure it doesn't go to waste. Also, if you notice the colour of these uniforms, they are actually very similar to 2 detectives from Persona 4. I'm just going to leave that there. I found the images Shogun sent me in my cache folder. It was a JPEG numbered 168491. And because of this game's incredibly long chaptered nature, I am afraid that, rather teasingly, is where we're wrapping this up for tonight. Well, of course, you can see more of this next week, Wednesday, 8 PM BST, where I'll be venturing back one more time into the chaos. Chaos Head Noah. In the interim, though, on Friday evening at 8 PM BST, you can be right back here, twitch.tv/Swishbone, where I'll be carrying on my playthrough of Trails from Zero. You raise a fair point, Queen. Yes, maybe I'll get cancelled in the interim. We'll find out, I suppose. On Saturday, don't forget, be back here on Twitch, twitch.tv/ChrisJT1985, where you can see him carry on his playthrough of Uncharted Space, aka Star Wars Outlaws. That's been a lot of fun to check out, so please do be there. And of course, you can also go over to check out youtube.com/Queen at Queen3210. Well, as I mentioned it earlier, the playthrough of the Phoenix Wright games, because we have a cameo from Gumshoe tonight. There's the ongoing playthrough that we're doing together of Final Fantasy IV. You can go check out that there. There's also the very long, stumbling first-person escape that is Blueprints as well. Lots of content, many more classic streams like Zero Escape, and many more. Do go check those out. Like, share, subscribe, and I want to say thank you all very, very much for watching. And tonight went wide in that direction. Major chaos.